What's going on, fellow A-Plussers? It's your host, Adam Perez, back once again with a brand new live episode of A-Plus Hero Report, streaming live for you guys today over on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter. It is fantastic to see everybody here today. We got 6 incredible topics that we're going to be diving into for you guys today. Some honorable mentions to certainly kick off the show, along with wrapping up with your live viewer questions. So have a fantastic Sunday. Sit back, relax, grab your coffee, and enjoy the show, and we'll see you guys on the other side. Good afternoon, one and all, or good morning, wherever you're certainly watching us live from here today. It is, in fact, noon in Dallas, Texas, or Fort Worth, Texas, where we're streaming live for you guys today. Stuart on the Bay Area coast coming through for us once again as our co-host. What's going on, buddy, man? It's fantastic to see you today.
Not much. Just another week, another podcast.
Yeah, looking forward to it, man. We got some awesome topics to talk about today. We also got Let's Talk Movies for you guys tomorrow evening, so look forward to that. I think we're going to be talking Disclosure Day along with The Furious. And Stuart and I will talk after the show to see if we throw in a third film or not here for you guys tomorrow as well. Stuart, have you had the opportunity to check out any of those movies, or is your movie day like Mondays officially?
I feel like my movie days have become officially Monday. Not only because, price is decent if I go early enough, but it's also just nice being in a really empty theater. Plus, I really love the theater I go to. Plus, it's the day that I know I'll always have off, so it's perfect.
Nice. Yeah, I was, especially working in a movie theater, I guess, it's hard to be able to sit down and actually watch films there. So the place that you go to see movies is not where you work at, huh?
It used to be. It was until the QR code was implemented at the Alamo Draft House. I used to love seeing movies at the Draft House. Now I absolutely hate it. So now I'm going to Apple Cinemas, which is, a really cool theater. It's like this really big building, and they got like 15 different screens there. So there's always a new movie playing there. I love it. So I do miss the Draft House, though, before the QR codes. So hopefully one day we'll go back to that.
Yeah, hopefully, man. I had the opportunity to check out Disclosure Day yesterday. Yeah, Saturday morning. I went ahead and checked it out. I did put together my final grade for it. If anything, I may talk a little bit about it on my TikTok later on today. Small little brief preview or review from my perspective. And then I'm planning on checking out The Furious later on tonight. I got 6 p.m. tickets, so I'm really excited to certainly check that out. I'll go ahead and make sure I've got my grades ready for our show tomorrow. But if you guys do want to get just some of my individual thoughts on it, I do drop some of my early report cards over on TikTok if you want to check us out on the TikTok page from time to time before Stuart and I actually get together on Mondays and really hash it out and get a really final grade overall for what Hero Report grades some of these movies. So looking forward to talking both these movies with you, Stu. I think I'll be interested to see what your thoughts are on Disclosure. I know that's one of your most anticipated movies. Your most anticipated movie, if I'm not mistaken.
It was number 1 on my list.
Number 1, right? Yeah. So I'll be interested to see what you thought about it. If you guys have seen any of those films, though, it is in fact Sunday. So if you've had the opportunity to check out Disclosure Day or The Furious, please go ahead and let us know your thoughts in the comment section or the live chat below, guys. And look, remember, as we go through these topics, these are simply just our A-plus opinions. We always want to know your guys' thoughts. So feel free to chime in the live chat if you want to. We love bouncing conversation pieces off of you guys. If you feel some type of way about some of the topics we're talking about and you want to throw in your 2 cents, please go ahead and do so. We definitely will try and bring up some of your comments and give you our thoughts and just have a great conversation piece with you guys today. But just to go ahead and kick that off, let's go ahead and see who is in our live chat and show some love today. Ricky Perez, probably got to be my cousin somewhere down, far down the line somewhere. Hey, Adam, I just saw the official teaser trailer for Pixar's upcoming movie titled Gato. It will be arriving in theaters March 2027. I did see the trailer going around. I haven't watched the trailer myself. Have you seen it, Stuart? The Gato trailer?
But, looking it up now.
Also, I saw a clip for the upcoming Minions 3 titles, Minions and Monsters, released online. Yeah, I've seen that trailer, and I haven't seen the clip, but I have seen the trailer in the theaters. And I got to tell you, man, every time that trailer comes on, people are laughing. People are laughing. They still love them some Minions.
Oh yeah.
3 clips of Toy Story 5. Stuart, I don't do clips anymore, man. I just don't do clips anymore. I mean, maybe every now and then in the blue, if it's like a new character being revealed in live action that I kind of want to get a little bit of a tease about, maybe I will. But for the most part, I just don't do the clips anymore, man. Clips tend to be how people worry about, oh, the trailers are so spoilerish. That's how I feel about clips, man. I rather not know any context about the movie outside of the trailers, maybe a couple of TV spots here or there. That's a maybe on TV spots, but clips, nah, man, I can't do it anymore.
Yeah, I try to avoid clips and TV spots, just because, yeah, those tend to be the ones that show you scenes that, like, I think that if you watch as someone who's not a fan, some of the times you can watch without, like, being able to put context clues together, and it's fine. But other times, if you are a fan, and you notice a character acting a certain way or saying a certain line that comes off in a certain way, it tends to be more of a spoiler clip to like fans. Like, I think one of the best examples was X-Men. I want to say it was the Dark Phoenix movie, the last one, not X-Men 3.
Yeah.
They had a clip that basically spoiled the fact that Mystique died in the movie, because you have Charles and Xavier, you have Charles Xavier and Magneto basically having their usual back and forth, and then Charles like basically going, "This won't bring her back." And because you saw that Beast was on the same side as Magneto, it was pretty easy to put together who they were talking about.
Yeah, I definitely have stopped watching clips because of things like that. And it's also, trailers are usually done by other companies, usually outside of the studio. Or usually it's not like the writer and the director in the editing bay putting these trailers together, right? Like, it's usually completely separate entities. Some people might have some say in regards to it, like maybe James Gunn over at DC Studios, maybe Kevin Feige at Marvel from time to time. But sometimes I even think then they don't necessarily have as much say, because they do have other companies that come in and cut these trailers and put them together. So the idea of like what can be shown, what shouldn't be shown, feels like it's just kind of up in the air. So outside of the trailers, I'm just like, I just don't want to know, man. I just don't want to know. We got Ricky Perez says, I saw the final trailer for the upcoming live action Moana. It will be arriving in July. I'm really curious to see how this movie is going to do, if it's going to fare as well as the animated film tends to do. The live action, I've seen these live action trailers for Moana so many times, and I'm just not sold, dude. Like, I'm just not sold. The actress that plays Moana, like, I just from the trailer, I don't really care for so much. The Rock with the long hair just looks so crazy to me. Like, I don't know. I'm definitely not going to see. I don't want to see it. Like, I know we have a channel where it's like we should see these movies to talk about them, but Stuart, I don't know if I want to see this live action Moana, bro. I'm just being honest.
I will see it if it is the only new movie that weekend. But if there was literally anything else that came out, hell, you know what? I'm kind of hoping, a foreign film comes out that same weekend, especially a Bollywood movie. I've been needing to expand my palette with Bollywood films. So you know what? Literally anything else comes out that weekend, I will probably watch that.
Watch this movie be like $1 billion, bro. I'm telling you.
Oh, it is. It's gonna make a lot of money. Like, that's the thing. I hate live action Disney movies, but they are, there's a reason Disney keeps throwing them out there, and there's a reason Disney hasn't felt any obligation to put more effort in the writing for any of them, because it's like, well, we put a minimal effort for these movies and they made us $1 billion, so why would we want to put more effort into these ones?
Yeah, that Lilo and Stitch movie, that live action one, made a bunch of money. If I'm not mistaken, I don't remember what the Rotten Tomatoes score was for it or not, but I like, none of the trailers really inspired me to go see it. So I never saw it, but I'm like, wow, it made $1 billion. That's crazy to me. But that's the power of Disney in their live action. Peg C says, I saw the new X-Men 97 season 2 roll call trailer. It looked amazing. Look, let me tell you something. We posted the roll call trailer on our Facebook page yesterday, and within like 5 minutes, Stuart, that the trailer, the reel that we dropped, had like 1,000 views within like the first 5 minutes. It's over like 3K views right now in regards to this roll call trailer. We'll probably watch it a little bit for the honorable mentions portion of the show. Pexi also says watched MK2 and Michael. MK2 beats the first, but the 1995 is best. I will agree with you there. Still, Michael was far made his uncle proud. The sequel needs to tackle his marriage to Lisa Marie, if the Elvis estate allows it. Yeah, I would love to learn a little bit more about how that marriage kind of came together and even maybe fell apart. But I got to tell you, man, I still think Jafar should be at least nominated for an Oscar. I know it's still kind of halfway through the year right now, but if we're talking performances, Jafar is still up there in regards to the running for me and in regards to best performances I've seen so far this year. On the male side of things, I should say. We got Blossom in the house. What's up, fellas? She says, good to see you as always, Blossom. Thanks so much for certainly coming through. I started watching Marcelino in the house. I started watching the amazing Digital Circus, Has Been Hotel, and the first Underworld movie and the first Cabin Fever movie. Very nice.
Nice. Keeping yourself busy.
Yeah.
I really like Amazing Digital Circus. Like it was such a pain to wait for every new episode, but it was a good show. And then Has Been Hotel's just a lot of fun. Dude, Hell is Forever, which comes from the show Has Been Hotel. That song is so freaking catchy.
Marcelino says, I don't watch many trailers. Just tell me what the movie is about and I'll be interested. Yeah. Obsession and Backrooms outperform Mandalorian and Grogu. We might be looking at a new wave of original movie outperforming big IP movies. I wouldn't be opposed to that. I really would not be opposed to that. We need, we always say all the time that there are good original movies out there. People just have to kind of go and see them. And I hope, even though those are two kind of, I don't want to say horror movies, but scary movies or thrillers, I do hope that this piques people's interests in regards to like, oh, maybe I should go see smaller budget films and see what's out there. Like I go through my AMC A-list app all the time and see what's currently out, and there's some titles that I'm really not familiar with, but I might click on it and see a trailer might be available and be like, oh, that actually looks pretty decent. I might go ahead and certainly check it out. So I'm hoping that it definitely opens the eyes to some people in the sense of like, go check out more original films or smaller budget movies. I definitely do think it would be really great. So, I don't know if this is just a new wave of kind of horror taking over a little bit more, or if it's really the original movies. But anytime they want to outperform a big IP, I got no problem with it. I love it.
The big thing that people are predicting is Hollywood is going to find a way to take the wrong message from that, just like always.
He says, if that's the case, then Hero Report should just abandon the IP franchises and focus on promoting more. I mean, no, we're not going to go that far. We're not going to go that far, but we definitely will continue. We're definitely very vocal about going to see original movies around there. If people have been following us for a while, we know that we always recommend that concept and that idea. And I think the fact that we have a weekly movie show that we talk and we talk about movies that aren't necessarily big IP franchises, I think we're pretty open about the idea of go see other movies besides just the big IPs for sure. Yeah. We also got Tony Robinson in the house. What's up, Adam and Stuart? He says, it's good to see you, Tony, man. I always appreciate you when you pop up in here, man. Thank you so much for your continued support each and every week, bro. Tony's been around with us for a while, man. I mean, he's always reliable that way. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for all your comments. Again, feel free to continue to flood us with them as we talk through some of these main topics with you guys today. I got my coffee with me, Stuart. Have you gotten your coffee today, bro?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah,
and that is not a Starbucks cup. That is a dumb Starbucks cup. Any Nathan Fielder fans will know why that is hilarious. Probably one of the best episodes of Nathan for You.
They've got to have a Battlestar. Well, you haven't seen Battlestar Galactica. That's right. There's a character that who's the lady that played Damn, why am I drawing a blank on her name? From The Mandalorian and Grogu. She was the Mandalorian.
Katie Sackhoff, right?
Katie Sackhoff. Yeah, she played a character named Starbuck in Battlestar Galactica. I would love a Katie Sackhoff Starbuck mug. I gotta imagine that there's one out there.
That would be funny. Yeah, you could like you could probably put her like in the center of it. She'll keep kind of the green colors going for it.
Yeah, it can even say Starbuck and then Battlestar Galactica and then a picture of Katie Sackhoff is in that same design, if possible. I would love a picture of that. If anybody can find that for me, please let me know. Tony Robinson says, Adam, facts. I've been here when you were just a Power Ranger review channel. Time flies. Yeah, I mean, as I say, I think Tony's probably been here when I was maybe A+ Opinions doing either A+ Opinions when I started out doing Power Ranger content, or when I started doing A+ More Phenomenal and just had the Power Ranger channel. I'm not sure, but he's been here for a minute, man. So I appreciate the support.
I think the first one, because like I think Tony Robinson has been around since since before I first joined the channel, which was like back in 2019.
Damn, has it been that long, Stuart?
It has. That's crazy. Wait, was it 2019 or 2020? I can't. It was
one of those. Probably 2019. It's been it's like 7 years. You stick around for 3 more years, you might get a pension plan around here, Stuart. You know,
yeah, do like a 10-year anniversary.
Yeah, give you a 10-year anniversary gift, 401k started up or something. You know, we'll see.
One of those expensive gold watches.
Yeah, we'll see what we can make happen here, man. But thank you guys for certainly joining us today. So let's go ahead and kick off this show with our first segment of the day. And we got our honorable mentions portion of the show. If this is your first time watching the channel, honorable mentions is simply a portion of our show where there are topics we want you to certainly still deserve to know about, but maybe just did not quite make our top 6 around here. And there's always plenty of news to definitely be talking about. So this is kind of like a quick shooter in regards to releasing some tidbits of information for you guys out there. But Stuart, you said you had an honorable mention you wanted to talk about?
I do indeed. I'm just gonna share the trailer real quick. So I've been keeping up with some video game news recently, and it turns out we have a new Zelda game in the works, but it's one that's going to be kind of familiar to a lot of Zelda fans.
Ain't no way.
Yeah.
What was happening here?
Long ago, there was a land called Hyrule, created by beings of supreme divinity. At the very edge of this kingdom, there lay a small forest.
I love this theme.
Within it, an ancient solitary tree quietly watched over the inhabitants of the forest. These forest dwellers were called the Kokiri. Each had a fairy companion, and they lived out their innocent lives in these woods. However, there was one particular boy.
Hey, listen.
Who did not have a fairy.
Nice. Let's go.
Yeah,
Let's go.
So it looks like this one is going to be an actual remake, not like the because there was like a HD version of the game that was released on the Nintendo 3DS back in the day. But yeah, it looks like this time they're fully remaking it. And I'm guessing because we had like that whole beginning bit from the game narrated to us by a voiceover, I'm going to make a guess and say that this version of the game is going to have voice acting in it instead of text box. And I say that because we've had like the last 2 Zelda games that have come out for the Switch. both have had voice acting within their cutscenes, so I could see them sticking to that direction with this game. But yeah, I think it looks really cool from that little tease that we got. Major graphic update very much looks like oh god, what is it? The
Wind Waker, not
Wind Waker. No, not Wind Waker.
That was kind of
it's the most recent two, and I can't remember their names, but the ones that came out on the Switch.
Winds of the Wild or something like that.
Yeah,
I can't remember. I don't remember what they are. I haven't really kept up with Zelda since they've been on the Switch so much.
Yeah, sorry, it was oh my gosh, I hate that it's not even the first thing that pops up when Breath of the Wild. That's what it was.
Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, there we go. So I hate that when I typed in Zelda Switch, the first thing that popped up was the remake of Link's Awakening, which I forgot was a thing.
Oh, they did that one again? That's cool. Yeah. I got to get back into gaming, man. I really do. I miss fucking gaming. I did tell my girlfriend that for my son's 5th birthday, I want to get him a refurbished NES, and get some old school 8-bit games in this household. Start breaking my son into some gaming the right way, you know what I mean? Yeah. And for myself here, but the girlfriend's just like, babe, we're gonna get so addicted. I was like, she's like, well, I'm gonna get so addicted. I was like, come on, girl. It's just taking the controller out of Noah's hand like that. Let's not do that. But we'll see. But I do want to get back into some gaming around here.
I recommend getting like one of the they've made like the reproduced kind of versions of the NES, like, and then you can get them on Amazon, I believe. But basically, yeah, literally like some of them you can get will have like both an NES slot, a Super Nintendo slot, and a Sega Genesis slot as well. But yeah, they're more modern, so as long as the cartridge itself is working, it should run perfectly fine. That way, you don't have to worry about whether the NES itself is going to work, because I have 2 of them at the moment, and trying to get either one of them to like stay on is like such a pain. It's like once it stays on, it's good, but like it's the process of trying to get it to read the game. Some of the times, like you're supposed to press the cartridge down in order to get it to play, but on my wife's NES, the one that she had before we like moved in together, I've discovered like to play games you can't do that. You can't press the cartridge all the way down. You have to stick it in and then play it that way, which I didn't even know was possible.
Yeah, no, I mean the original NES, you have to stick it in and push it down, and then and close the slot and play. I mean, you don't have to close the slot to play it, but you have to push it in and then push it down. There used to be like a little trick that I used to do too, is like I would push it in, maybe not necessarily all the way, and then when I would push it down, it'd have to like clip the end, like not very smooth, but like clip the end a little bit. When you push it down, and then for some reason it used to always work like that. I don't know. Anytime I had difficulty with my cartridge, outside of like having to blow it, I would just kind of put it in. I would keep just a little bit of the lip out, and then when you push it down, it's gotta be like a rough click in, and then it worked that way for me. So I don't know. Just try that out, Stuart, if you have any issues.
Yeah.
Let's see what other honorable mentions we got. I have been harping on Supergirl for not having the best promotional material right now when it comes to marketing, but I do think that after Masters of the Universe drop, I do feel like tides might be turning. I've been seeing some really great trailers for Supergirl on the big screen. I know they've been dropping some new TV spots and stuff. I refuse to watch any of them right now, but we do have some international posters that are coming out. And Stuart, tell me, why are these international posters just looking so good, dude? Like, out of all the posters that we've gotten so far, the international posters are just blowing the US promotional stuff out of the water. This is a Chinese poster here. We get a little bit of the galaxy in the background. I love the multi-planets that we get to see. Looks like we got some action, some kinetic energy happening in these trailers. It just really pops. And then we got France wind up dropping one also, really tying into the galaxy aspect, space a little bit, seeing more planets, the floating like city that we have here. Visually, I think these are both really stunning international posters, and I just think so much better than some of the promotional material that we've seen here in the States so far, dude.
It's like very much these posters, what's great about them is anyone who's seen Superman can look at this and instantly realize, okay, this isn't just Superman. This is clearly
different.
a very different type of movie, because
Yes.
you got this really cool looking Cloud City like thing in the background. And then, yeah, you mentioned the planets before. I love how, in both these posters, you have something really cool to look at, like in the sky in the background too. These are really cool posters.
I'm really glad you brought that up, because the other posters that we've seen just feel like recycled Superman posters. You know, let's just have her stand in front of a big S. You know, let's have her back turned to the camera like our other Superman posters. Let's just a lot of repeat stuff from Superman just turned into Supergirl. But these two posters really right here just really distinctly separate itself, I think, from anything previously Supergirl and Superman related. So kudos to the international team here that's putting these posters together, man. But these two posters wind up dropping this week. And my hype does continue to raise for Supergirl. Every new Supergirl thing that I see, my expectations continue to rise and rise for this film. So I'm really, really looking forward to this one. We also got the Batman in the news here this week for you guys, because filming has begun. Matt Reeves himself went ahead and dropped this very first look image here, letting people know, scene one, take one. Things are happening right now behind the scenes. So the Batman Part 2 is currently underway, and that's exciting. Who's that on the table? That's when I just realized that there's a body, looks like a dead body, maybe in the morgue, laying on the table. I'm kind of curious as to who that might be. He's very much blurred out there. But I'm just glad that production has finally begun. I'm sure Robert Pattinson is happy it's begun, because my man's not getting any younger whatsoever. How you feeling about this, Stu?
Feeling pretty good. It's so funny. We've been waiting so long to hear news about the update of this movie. It almost got to the point where I was just like, is Matt Reeves even interested in making it? So any update is good to hear. I think it's like, assuming that this movie actually turns out to be as good as we're hoping for, I think it is cool regardless, though, that James Gunn is giving Matt Reeves like the time he wants in order to fully flesh out the script to make sure everything's ready to go before shooting, rather than just kind of writing it as they go. Clearly this is a franchise that they are not like just abandoning for the DCU. It's one that they want to stand tall with the DCU, and I think that's great. Since we're starting this out in the morgue, though, I'm wondering if this was just like a photo that they sent because they wanted to let us know, okay, guys, don't worry, the movie is being worked on, or is this one of those cases where there's a little bit of a tease in this photo? We just got to look for the clues themselves.
Oh, yeah, I am kind of curious about that. This is take one, scene 26, so the 26th scene in the movie. I'm curious to find out who this is on that morgue table right now. But filming has in fact begun. I would agree with you. If anything, I'm curious as to the mindset of James Gunn here. Like you said, while they are very open about allowing this world to kind of continue opposite of the DCU Batman, I do wonder if James Gunn maybe it's a kind of a wait and see to see how this film delivers. But I am kind of curious if, while this was originally planned for a trilogy, if they would want to wrap things up after a second Batman film here and really kind of change course to focus more on the DCU. What do you think, Stuart? Do you think there's a world where we could have two different Batman films concurrently going on at the same time, or do you think this is something that James Gunn is like, all right, Matt, let's get this last one out of the way, and then once this is released and we drop Brave and the Bold, that's going to be our new Batman going forward?
I think we're going to get the Brave and the Bold before we get the Batman 3. Because I am pretty sure it's safe to say the Batman will be a trilogy at the very least. So I think we'll get the Brave and the Bold before we get the third Batman movie. but I don't think you're ever going to see them release the same year. So I think that
Gotcha.
we might get the the Brave and the Bold in 2028, but we will definitely not be getting the Batman 3 that year.
Yeah, no, I definitely would agree with you there. But yeah, it's just nice to see the Batman currently in production. We also got some Helldiver news. If you guys were paying attention a couple months ago, we talked about the idea that Justin Lin, I believe, was set to direct the live action video game adaptation for Helldivers. Apparently, though, Jason Momoa, who was initially announced to be a part of the film, has now departed the film. According to Deadline.com, sources are telling us that Jason Momoa is departing the Helldivers adaptation. The project is still very much alive, though. The reasons for his departure are unknown, and Sony is currently searching for a new star. Details regarding the plot are still under wraps. It is expected to still release in November of 2027. So Jason Momoa winds up departing for no reason, at least announced to us. So I'm kind of curious if his schedule is just about to get a lot busier. Him being Lobo, they've got the Minecraft sequel that I believe they're currently filming right now. It might have just started going into production, if I'm not mistaken. So maybe he's just got a lot on his plate at that moment and had to drop out. But I'm sure eventually the truth will come out as to why he had to leave Stewart at some point in time.
I still find it weird that we're even getting a Helldivers movie, because that's literally just Starship Troopers. Like, it's literally the exact, like, the Helldivers is based on the movie Starship Troopers, so it's like weird that we're just getting an adaptation of that. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's very, very possible that Jason Momoa saw the script and realized, do the writers not realize that Helldivers is satire, and then just decided to walk out?
Maybe it's all about the quality. Who knows? In other news, Jurassic World Rebirth is back. According to Screen Rant here, says the producing team is still in the early stages of developing the follow-up to the Jurassic World Rebirth, as the writer David Cope stated in a recent interview. Cope believes in making one good movie at a time instead of thinking all the way out in regards to a trilogy. He says you can't say trilogy, you got to make one good movie. So now what about another good movie? How would we do that? I think that the challenge of Rebirth was the franchises have become very big, very spread out. Let's make the dinosaurs special again by restricting them. So we restricted them this time, and then the challenge becomes, okay, now how do we logically and in a scientifically believable way expand? That would be the question. If somebody can answer that, I think you'll have a next movie. So it doesn't look like they have plans on slowing down in regards to production. It does look like they plan on doing another one. The movie itself made like $850+ million at the box office, despite being a rather mixed reviews and kind of a lukewarm movie. People just continue to love their dinosaurs, Stuart. So it doesn't seem like they are shying away from another Rebirth film at this point. Just trying to find what might work and what doesn't.
It is really funny to me because these movies have been ever since the second Jurassic World movie, because I feel like the first one is the only one that got like mostly good reviews. Even then, I actually wasn't even a fan of the first Jurassic World movie. But yeah, that's what's kind of funny looking at this franchise, is that I can't think of a single one of them, with the exception of Jurassic World, that like got a single like good review, but they're still making bank. So I can definitely see why they're still coming. Yeah, it's too bad though. So far, none of them have hooked me. In fact, I would go as far as to say that I like Jurassic Park 3 more than any of the Jurassic World movies.
Wow.
Maybe not 2, only because as cool as 2 has, like 2 does have some really freaking awesome moments in it. It's just as a whole, it's a very boring movie when you're not getting to the really cool parts. So I don't know if I would say 2 is better than anything Jurassic World has produced, but obviously they've never come close to the original. And Jurassic World 3, as bad as it is, at least I'm always having a blast watching it.
Yeah, that's true. We also have Lilo and Stitch in the news. Apparently, according to Hollywood Reporter, they have found a director. It says Chris Sanders, who co-wrote, co co-created, and co-directed the original Lilo and Stitch animated movie, is now set to direct the sequel to its live-action Lilo and Stitch mega hit. Sanders also voiced the character of Stitch in both animated and live-action form, was already deeply involved with the feature as its screenwriter. The sequel is now on the way to production, with shooting due to begin later this year. So, uh, Chris Sanders, again, heavily involved in the first Lilo and Stitch animated movie and voicing Stitch, is now set to be the director of the upcoming sequel. And they do state in here that the sequel is set to be a brand new story. The movie itself powered over $1 billion at the box office. $423 million of that was domestically here in the States. So the sequel will be a brand new story. I know that they had an animated straight to DVD, I think, Lilo and Stitch 2, but it does look like they're not going to be utilizing that story. They will be creating a brand new story for the sequel itself, but they do have a new writer on board.
Lilo and Stitch,
writer and director. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say with Lilo and Stitch though, that didn't just get like an animated sequel. That movie got like its first animated or its straight to DVD sequel was actually a pilot for a TV show, which in itself, that TV show had so many TV specials, like TV movies basically. So there were like quite a few Lilo and Stitch animated movies if you count those. But then there was one I remember, because this one confused the hell out of me, because it was called Lilo and Stitch 2, and I remember that one confused me because it came out way after I think the show had either ended or it was like in its prime, like it was still really popular on Disney, but the sequel just completely ignored the show like altogether.
Oh yeah.
So that always kind of confused me. I do kind of if they want to have fun with the sequel, I do think they should take elements from the show, because I think like the idea of like a East, because that's kind of what the show was. It was just one giant Easter egg hunt, because you had all the other experiments like loose on Hawaii, and they came in like these little tiny balls that if they got wet, they would dissolve, and then they would transform into, you know, the next Stitch looking alien. And so they had to like gather them up before they all like basically dissolved and then, you know, appeared. But it was entertaining, and I think that could actually kind of work if they wanted to take the movie franchise in a similar direction.
Yeah, it's definitely a possibility. I didn't realize how much money this movie really made, so I think there's a lot of potential for it if it can improve upon the first one. But we'll see what kind of original story they come up with here. And then last but not least, we do have X-Men 97 in the news this week, especially season 2. The series return is literally just around the corner, Stuart. I believe this returns July 1st, so we're probably like 2 weeks out from the return of X-Men 97, so much so that we wind up getting ourselves a brand new trailer this week, very much a roll call trailer to let you know who's involved character-wise in the show. Let's go ahead and bring this up and see what they have in store for us.
We're back, baby. We are the X-Men. Together, we're unstoppable.
Plenty of tricks up my sleeve.
Oh dear.
We are the dawn that breaks his night.
First off, I just want to say I do love how everybody gets their very fast clip, but Storm, she gets like a good like 5-10 seconds to herself, man. She like they almost know that people are here for Storm. Like they just know how popular of a character she is, and they literally give her like a whole sequence here, which is crazy. But let's go ahead and continue.
He needs to get out that poetic monologue.
Yeah.
That breaks his night.
We're soldiers.
Await. We shall face them together.
He's the X-Men's most diabolical foe, Apocalypse.
I will be all that is left.
First off, I love this shot here of Apocalypse with his crazy look in his eyes. Look at that shit. That's terrifying, bro.
Oh
That's
my
so
God.
scary. The animation looks great in here. Like I will say that one of the things about just X-Men 97 in general, like when it gets into the fighting, the action, it's almost like the animation just takes like a whole nother level up when it comes to a jump. I'm so impressed with some of the action sequences and pieces I've seen in here so far.
Definitely. I love because I think just like season 1, this is all CG, but like you can't tell. Like if I watched this, I would have assumed it was all hand drawn. But yeah, it just looks so incredible the way they kind of blend the two art forms. I think we finally have gotten into that period where that style has been perfected. Yeah, so I don't know what the writing's going to be like, obviously, because we have a whole shift in the writing team, but at least the animation quality is still there.
Yeah, so far some early reactions have been really praising season 2, but we'll see what the final result of it all is certainly going to be. I think that the characters that really jump out to me the most in here, one, I'm really fascinated to see this more bestial look to Wolverine a little bit, and then Polaris having an impact. Polaris has always been one of those secret like B-C level characters that I'm always fascinated with and kind of always want to see a little bit more of her. If you guys remember, they had that X-Men show on Fox, Gifted, I believe. Polaris was one of the main characters in there. If I believe that's correct. Yeah, but I want to say Polaris certainly was. And I really enjoyed her in that too. So I definitely do think she's a character that could be utilized a little bit more. And even seeing Magneto in here with the look of like the beard and stuff kind of he's got kind of growing out. I kind of dig his design this time around also. So the roll call trailer was great, man. Definitely got me hyped for it. But the new season begins July 1st, so look forward to that.
Man, I feel like one thing I missed out on, because you brought up The Gifted. I missed out on both X-Men TV shows that were out back in the day on FX, because there was The Gifted, and then there was one, I think it was about Charles Xavier's like nephew or something.
Legion. He was supposed to be
Legion. That's
his son, I believe.
It was his son. Okay, yeah, but both of which, like I hear, were like critically acclaimed.
At least Legion was. I don't know about I don't know how I did enjoy Gifted. I don't necessarily know how well it was received as a whole though, but I was a big fan of the Gifted show. Before we get into our main topic, shout out to Kiki and Luca joining us today. He says, hit that like button. Yes, hit that like button, guys. If you're watching us live today, definitely go ahead and hit that like button. We don't have any sponsors here either. So, we really grow based off of you guys. So if you do want to go ahead and support the channel monetarily, there is in fact a super chat available for you guys if you want to go ahead and donate to the channel. But if not, because things are tight out there for everybody, living paycheck to paycheck, if you do want to support the show, like Kiki and Lucas say, hit the like button. It definitely does go a long way. They also say it's been reported that Matt Reeves has significant personal issues which prevented him from making Batman 2 earlier. Yeah, he definitely did. Although they've been pretty tight-lipped about what that personal issue is. I had not really heard too much about it. I mean, I know that he was going through something, but the what, I certainly don't know.
If I had to guess, it was probably something like in regards to his own family that isn't like in the spotlight, and so that's why he wants to keep it like very private, because it's like, I don't want my family who's like not in the spotlight to like suddenly be thrown there.
He says, Marcelino says, does the red bat emblem imply something? It's giving me Batman Beyond vibes, but I know it's not that. I don't know. I don't know. I do love the design itself. It does look like it's a little bit different from the first one, but I might have to go. Do I still have that image up, or did I delete? I think I deleted it already. Oh,
if I had to guess, I would assume it's probably just a production thing. Like red is just an easier color to spot.
oh, it could be, yeah. Peg C says, I wonder what a live action Emperor's New Groove movie would look like. Yo, I used to watch that on repeat all the time. I love Emperor's New Groove. Yeah, I would be interested to see what that would potentially look like. Huh.
Would you want the movie live action adaptation to have the same vibe as the original, or would you try to go for kind of a serious tone, like almost the exact same plot but try to make it serious?
I need jokey humor. I definitely
need the buddy road trip kind of feel that kind of the original had.
yeah, with some new jokes, maybe some new dialogue here and there. But yeah, that's definitely what I would need.
Man, finding actors though to replace John Goodman and the guy that played Cusco though, because man, those two had a great dynamic.
You can't bring them back. Well, I guess you would have to. Maybe John. You think you could bring back John Goodman live action wise? I guess you couldn't bring back the dude that played Cusco because one, if we're doing live action, my man can't play Cusco in live action. He just can't.
Given that Cusco's supposed to be like 18, I think.
Yeah, like you definitely can't pull that off.
Maybe you could do like maybe John Goodman could come back for that. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Or maybe find like other roles in the movie for those two to play. But yeah,
I definitely would. I would if I was directing it, I would have a cameo for both of them.
Yeah, you might have to. You might be right. You might have to recast for that role for sure. At least Cusco.
For Pacha, you know who I would cast, or sorry, for John Goodman, you know who I would cast him as is like one of the villagers, the one that's playing chess with the other, and he goes, "Hey, you just missed a couple of your relatives." That's where I would put his cameo.
I love it. Yes, I love it. But all right, guys, let us know your thoughts. Maybe you can have who is the guy that did the voice for Cusco? What was his name again?
Oh, I totally forgot. Famous
maybe you can have him portray the old, well, I don't know how old he is now, but you can have him perform as like the older man that goes up to Cusco to ask him for a favor and then like gets tossed out of the castle early on. Maybe you can put him in that role.
He threw off my groove.
Yeah.
Sorry.
yeah. So yeah, I would love to see that. Billy in the house heard the first reactions for Toy Story 5 are good. Toy's storyline is good, so I heard. Yeah, that's what I've been hearing too in regards to Toy Story 5 as well. Billy, appreciate you giving us the heads up.
David Spade, that was his name.
Oh yeah, thanks. Thank you, Tony Robinson. David Spade, yes sir. Thank you so much for filling that in for us. All right, guys, with that out of the way, let's get into our main topics. You ready to tackle these main topics with me, Stu?
Always.
Let's do it, man. We got some interesting ones here. It feels like we're going to be taking a trip back to the 80s a little bit as we're going to be focusing on, really, we got two big IPs here from Masters of the Universe we're going to be talking about, along with Gem and the Holograms that's back in the news. I feel like we just talked about them within the past like 5-6 years, as Gem and the Holograms did have a live action movie that certainly came out, but it looks like they're set to go ahead and tackle that IP again. We also got some Doctor Who in the news, as well as we have an update on the hiatus of this show. We're going to be talking Transformers, even some DCU as Paradise Lost. The upcoming Wonder Woman prequel is in the news as well. So let's go ahead and kick this off, ladies and gentlemen, with a big movie that's currently out right now that's getting rave reviews from critics along with audiences, but maybe not doing necessarily the strongest at the box office. We got Masters of the Universe here, ladies and gentlemen. We talked about this movie last week, I believe, on Let's Talk Movies last Monday, me and Stuart. I can't remember what the final grade was. It was either like a B or a B minus, I think. Really enjoyable movie. Certainly not a perfect film, but I think Stuart and I certainly appreciated it for what it was. If you have not had the opportunity to check it out, please go ahead and do so. I still want to see this movie again, Stuart. Like, the only thing keeping me from going to the movies to see this again is the fact that I still have another movie for Let's Talk Movies tomorrow that I got to watch. But outside of that, I might try and squeak in a second showing of this movie. If not Monday, definitely Tuesday for sure, before we get a new batch of brand new movies, because I just want to revisit this world. Like, that's how much fun I had with this movie, Stuart. But Masters of the Universe is in the news because despite the idea that this movie is not making a lot of money at the box office, there seemingly might be potential still for not just a sequel, but a future for this particular IP. Let's talk about it, Stuart. This actually, I believe, comes to us from, where did I get this story from? I think this is Games Radar, an affiliate of Total Film. It says, despite Masters of the Universe flopping at the box office, Amazon MGM calls opening exactly the kind of critical first moment the studio is looking for. Stuart, can you pull up the box office for Masters of the Universe for me, please, before we dive into this article exactly? I just want to give people really the lay of the land, because I don't even think this movie, if I'm being honest, has broken $100 million yet.
Oh boy, yeah, because like domestically it's done a little over 40 million, internationally a little over 24 million. So altogether worldwide so far it is sitting at over 65 million. So not good given this movie's budget, unfortunately. But
does it say what the budget's on there? Sometimes it does, but I know the budget's anywhere
between at least 100 million or
no, that I will say from what I've seen, anywhere between 150 to 200 million dollars for this movie.
That doesn't surprise me.
So this movie has definitely taken a hit box office wise for sure.
But I am wondering, before we get into the article, I'm just going to make a quick prediction. Okay, yeah, between 170 million and 200 million, meaning, it needed to gross over 400 million. But okay, my prediction with this article is that secretly, this is what Amazon was hoping for. They wanted it to get good reviews. They didn't want it to be a box office success, because now they have an excuse to keep the rest of the franchise as straight to Amazon movies, basically.
So you think to purposefully like boost up their streaming service provider?
Yeah, I think something along those lines. So that's my prediction of what the article is going to allude to, is that Amazon in the long run is happy with it was a win-win for them regardless. Either they have a huge successful movie in the box office, or now they have an excuse to keep their bigger IPs outside the box office. The unfortunate thing is I could see this leading to them taking Voltron out of theaters if that was originally planned to go to theaters.
Well, Voltron right now has been announced to be straight to streaming.
My bad.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Yeah. No, you're good. You're good. But I do think at some point in time they did make the decision to go from theatrical to streaming. I do wonder if that's the case of they kind of knew that this was going to happen, which is why they made the move for Voltron to go to box office, because maybe they had an idea that, like, while we love this movie, maybe it's not going to do really well at the box office in regards to Masters of the Universe. So maybe they were just getting ahead of themselves in regards to the Voltron announcement, and just like, let's just release that on straight to streaming sort of thing. I guess it's, Amazon MGM is definitely a different animal compared to other movie studios. The fact that they do have their own streaming service, I definitely do think kind of undercuts some of the box office flop here, and they can kind of carry that momentum in other ways. But let's go ahead and dive into this article fully and see what it says here. It says Masters of the Universe might have underperformed in its opening weekend, but Amazon MGM says it's still happy with its performance. The new film has reportedly a budget of almost $200 million, not even including marketing, but at the time only grossed $54 million worldwide. This is what the Amazon's distribution chief says. He says, Travis Knight and the entire cast and filmmaking team have delivered something truly special. And this opening is exactly the kind of critical first moment that validates our holistic distribution strategy. Build awareness and engagement that will carry well beyond the theatrical window. Essentially, it says Wilson is saying that the box office isn't the only measure of success for a film like Masters of the Universe. Time will tell if the movie proves to have staying power. With an 88% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, it seems fans are enjoying the new flick. I'm trying to see if there's any other comments. So that's what he's so yeah, he says essentially they're very they believe that the team has created something truly special. The opening is exactly the type of critical first moment that they want, because it builds awareness and engagement that they think will carry well beyond the theatrical window here. And so, yeah, to me, it definitely feels like that's the case, Stuart, in the sense of like, hey, we really want, because I'll be honest with you, and I just don't know if I just carry a very positive algorithm over on my Twitter, but there's very few slanderous moments about Masters of the Universe that I tend to see. And it's not to say that this movie is for everybody. I'm sure there are some negative reviews clearly out there about this film, but I do feel like a lot of people, I see a lot of comments of, man, I'm not a Masters of the Universe fan. I didn't grow up with He-Man. It's my first time. I wanted to take a swing with this movie, and I walked away having a blast, like really surprised and having a really fun time at the movies. Like, I need to see more of this world. Like, that's just not my own sentiments. Like, I'm echoing literally what I see on my Twitter. And so it does feel like there is a positive momentum in regards to this, in the sense of like, we really created something new and fresh and a fun kind of dynamic here. This film also does kind of mirror the recent Dungeons and Dragons movie, also in the sense of like, I saw a lot of positive reviews in regards to that movie. It just didn't necessarily perform that well at the box office. But I do think the difference between the two is that Amazon MGM has the ability now to where, like, if they wanted to expand upon this Masters of the Universe cinematic universe, they really could. Stuart, you mentioned the idea of like, maybe the bigger plan here is, let's eventually get this to Prime Video, and I can almost guarantee you this is going to be number one on Prime Video, like for weeks on end. Top, if not number one, definitely within their top 10. I think this is going to be a movie that's just going to explode in regards to awareness when it comes to just being on a streaming service, and people that decided, I'm not going to go see this in the movie theaters, finally getting the opportunity to see it. And I think we're going to get even more positive buzz about it. I am kind of curious as to what the toy sales have been. They had a huge marketing campaign launching toys relatively early before this movie wind up coming out to kind of build awareness amongst children. So I would be interested to see what the toy sales for Masters of the Universe have been. And I've already heard that the pre-sales for the Blu-ray or 4K of this movie is like is in like the top 3 for Amazon Prime right now in regards to like DVD, Blu-ray kind of pre-sales. So I do feel a positive momentum here. Whether or not the IP itself will eventually grow on Prime Video, and they see that, and Amazon says, let's take another swing at a theatrical release. I would be kind of curious if they would do another theatrical release for a sequel, or like you mentioned, Stuart, if going forward, everything they do with this universe will go straight to Prime, like whether it's a brand new Amazon original movie that they release for the sequel, or maybe they go the route of television series at some point in time. I would really be open to that. I just think the world that Travis Knight has created is so expansive, so beautiful, so rich when it comes to its characters. That there's so much more to really explore here, and I don't know if how much Amazon MGM wants to um, put forward financially, what the financial risk for doing all that is. But it also just comes across because of the fact that they are a streaming service and they are also a shopping service. If they have things that help offset some of the box office flops, but they know that people want to see more and certainly might enjoy it, they may have that benefit outside of what other streaming services may be able to pull off as well. And so I do think that this puts Masters of the Universe in a really interesting situation. So I'm kind of curious to see what this future looks like, but it seems like they definitely felt this is a great first step in the right direction. And now we just have to figure out a smart way to expand upon it and keep playing in this world. Because I do get the impression that that's where they want to go. So I think more is on the way, Stuart. What about you, though? How do you feel about his comments?
Yeah, I definitely, I think that we're definitely going to be seeing more on the way. I find it funny, that their Blu-ray sales are actually doing really well. Because, I didn't even know that many people still bought Blu-rays, except for collectors like myself. So that's kind of cool to hear. But yeah, it is. It does sound like this was kind of my theory before we read the article. This was kind of their hope in the long run, was that they could just make a sustainable series for their streaming service, and then probably going to be doing the same for, other big projects that they have coming up. And especially because we look at the last couple of months, and it seems like the big hitters, in terms of Backrooms and Obsession, it's the kind of lower budget movie. So I kind of wonder if this is what some big studios might be kind of looking in the future, might be predicting in the future, is that maybe the big it's this is going to be funny, because it used to be these were the kind of movies that the average audience member would go to see, but it sounds like they're kind of winning the big budget Hollywood movies to streaming services now, and then now they're using the theaters to push for the more new up and coming directors. At least that's one direction it could go in. I might be just I don't know,
grasping at straws
here, so it's probably not going to happen. But yeah, it's just I don't know, it's a funny situation. I've never seen a studio this positive about a big flop like this.
That's true.
Yeah, and there is also the point of toy sales that you brought up as well. I think bringing that up is also something important, because I think that for a lot of movies, especially the Marvel movies, that used to be their big thing, is that yes, we would make $1 billion in movies, but we would make $3 or $4 billion in toys and sales and stuff like that, especially the Star Wars prequels. So maybe that's their long-term goal as well.
Yeah, it definitely could be their long-term goal. I am fascinated to see what happens with this. You are right, though. It is interesting to see a studio so happy with a movie not necessarily doing so well. You definitely don't hear that very often. There are definitely some, like I said, I think that's what makes Amazon MGM different, is that maybe they have other things going on in their company that they can maybe eat some of those things a little bit. I'm sure I gotta think that there's some level of worry behind the scenes, but maybe not. It's just because it's just so different from what we've seen other studios and how they kind of approach those things. A lot of studios are so quick to just toss aside an IP if it doesn't work out for them kind of immediately. But I just think there's a lot of positivity around this one that I think people definitely would love to see a little bit more of. Kiki and Lucas says maybe we will get He-Man on streaming instead of a movie. I mean, yeah, that's definitely another possibility. I would be curious if they did decide to go the route of original movie for Prime Video in regards to moving a future sequel over there. Or if they decide, hey, we do want to continue with this world, but maybe in a TV series aspect. I would like another movie, but there is legit a part of me that's just like, man, a TV series also would kind sound good. Would sound kind of good also. Maybe from like a financial standpoint, that's the route that you decide to go. But I don't know. What would you like to see from Masters of the Universe going forward, Stuart? Do you think it needs to be theatrical? If Amazon feels like we can take advantage of this positive outcome or the positivity surrounding it, what direction would you like to see them go?
The direction I'd like to see, but this would be a huge, like, and I mean, Amazon can afford the financial gamble, so I guess it's not that much of a gamble for them. It would just be expensive. I would love to see it as a TV show, but I wouldn't want it to be like, I would want it to have the movie budget basically. So even if it means like only getting 8-episode seasons, I'd be down with that. I would love to see it kind of have like kind of be like a episodic Xena type show where it's like Adam going on one adventure after another, and in doing so we're like expanding Eternia after every episode, and then we're also meeting, like, he's teaming up with like probably a new guest star every week. So basically just like the original show from the 80s, but live action. And I'd love to see with like kind of that bigger, nice budget. And then maybe kind of like the Mandalorian, you maybe have like a seasonal plot set up in the very first episode, but you don't come back to it until like the season finale, because it's more about the adventure, not the destination.
I do like both. I do like all those ideas. Like, I'm just ready to get back. Like, I really do love those ideas. Like, I really am ready to kind of get back to this world a little bit. I just think I think Travis Knight did such a good job of establishing really great characters, really great lore and mythology. The post-credit scenes alone are just like, we have got to explore just more of this world if you're gonna tease me like that, dude. Like, you really have to. So I do think Amazon Prime will certainly do more with this. It does also make me wonder what happens with Voltron going forward. If they really just didn't care for that movie as much and they thought maybe Masters of the Universe was something a little bit more special in that regards. But we'll see. He says, Marcin also says, I think Masters of the Universe didn't make a lot of money because no one wants to support Jared Leto. Look, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know if that's has a lot to do with it or not in regards to people just didn't go because it's Jared Leto. But it is fascinating to me that despite how good this movie is, the Jared Leto curse strikes again. Like, they literally did not promote this man at all. Like, no press interviews. My man was not at the red carpet to present himself. His whole face and voice was covered up and changed. You didn't even know my man was in this movie unless somebody told you it was. And yet somehow the strike, the curse happens again. How is that possible, bro? How is that possible?
I don't know. Like, I don't think it's I don't think it was Jared Leto specifically that had to do with the box office in this particular case, though. It's like, as funny as that would be, I don't think the average audience like knows about how shady of a man he actually is. I think they just know him as that one guy that Hollywood throws in a bunch of movies for some reason. So I don't think that was the reason the movie flopped. Maybe if his face was plastered over it, I would say. But yeah, I do agree. It definitely is funny. You get a good movie where Jared Leto, his face is nowhere to be seen, and yet it still has the Jared Leto curse.
It still has this curse all over it, bro. And I've seen people that just cannot stand Jared Leto that are just like, I gotta give credit where credit's due, dude. Like, he was the best part about this movie, and people hate having to say it, but it's like I can't avoid it. Marcelino's probably got the right idea. He says, I don't really want to support Jared Leto here, so I'm probably gonna wait for it to come out on streaming. And there's probably a lot of people out there that are gonna feel the same way. Instead of having to pay for it, they rather just kind of wait for it to hit the box office. But once it does, I really do think that this movie is gonna take off on streaming, and I'm gonna be watching this shit every day, bro. Like, I can tell you right now, it's going to be on repeat in the house. Going to have my son watching it. Hopefully he doesn't pick up on any of the sexual innuendo jokes at such an early age. Dad, what's fisto mean? No. Let's just fast forward. Let's just fast forward this moment, please. Blossom says, still sounds so cool, so got to get some popcorn for it. Yeah, it's a great popcorn flick, Blossom. If you want to check out Masters of the Universe, I highly recommend it. Even if you don't go to the movies very often, but you want a fun summer blockbuster popcorn flick, especially somebody like you that loves like Sailor Moon and, that type of like animation. I think the vibrant colors, the costume designs, I think you would fall in love with this world, Blossom, if you give it a shot. Peg C says, do a live action Brave Star next. I will say it is interesting to me, Stuart, that like if there's any streaming service or studio that's really investing a lot in like 80s IP, it's Amazon.
Amazon, yeah.
It's Amazon. I do wonder if they have a particular like demographic that they're just kind of going for to try and please and appease sort of thing. So they got a bunch of stuff. So it would not surprise me if like next week they're like Amazon MGM picked up the Brave Star IP, gonna create a movie or a television series. Like it really would not surprise me. Maybe they're building up to a huge cinematic universe for like all of these somehow, Stuart.
I know that like when He-Man was originally announced, it was announced with a bunch of other Mattel properties, and they implied that they were all going to be part of the same universe. So in other words, He-Man could theoretically be part of the Barbie universe, even though they're different studios. They could both be part of the Mattel cinematic universe. It's as long as they don't make it a requirement to see all these movies in order to understand what's going on, I'm okay with it. Just give me subtle Easter eggs. Don't give me Will Ferrell reprising his role in from Barbie in the next He-Man movie, because then that would just be too weird.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But yeah, we'll see what the future holds. But I got to tell you, as a fan of the Masters of the Universe movie, this makes me really happy to hear. Again, they haven't confirmed anything in regards to, we got a sequel coming, we got a TV series. It just seems as though this may be a waiting game in regards to, let's see how it performs on Prime Video first before we make any other bigger announcements for this world. And so I definitely expect, and it's even to the point to where like they're still dropping marketing material for this movie. Like I still see brand new things over on Facebook, over on Twitter, trying to suggest people go see this movie, like Camila Mendez, Nicholas Galitzine, like they're all still doing really cool, quirky sort of social media things to put buzz around this movie. So the fact that the marketing is continuing 2 or 3 weeks after this movie has been released, I think says something in regards to the belief that they have for the film, for the franchise.
Definitely.
So we'll see. You guys let us know your thoughts. Would you like to see a Masters of the Universe sequel despite the box office? Do you believe Amazon MGM when they tease certainly a bright future for this? Or do you think it's just hot air to appease some of the fans? Definitely go ahead and let us know your thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below.
All right, I got to be right back. I got to go help my wife bring in groceries, but I'll still be listening.
Yeah, go right ahead. Tony Robinson says... let me remove him real quick. Camila Mendez and Allison Breeze. Sheesh. Appreciate that, Tony. Yeah, I actually kind of wanted more of both of them in this film, if I'm being honest with you guys. But let's go from one 80s IP property to another, as Gem and the Holograms are in the news, believe it or not. It looks as though there might be life in this property after all. I believe a few years ago, for those of you who don't know, Gem and the Holograms was definitely an 80s cartoon. A couple of years ago, we also did get ourselves a live action movie, if I'm not mistaken, as well. I didn't get the opportunity to see the movie itself. I personally never grew up a big Gem and the Holograms fan, but I certainly was very much aware of it. Kind of released during the time in which MTV and music videos were kind of like all the rave, to kind of drop into, siphoning into some of those fandoms of music videos and fans of music in general. This is where we get Gem and the Holograms. And I am kind of curious to see what they do with it next, because apparently, according to Deadline, it seems as though they're not finished with this. They've got themselves a live action series that potentially could be in development here. Deadline says Gem and the Holograms live action series in the works at Amazon with Kilter Films and Hasbro. And there we go again. Stuart and I literally just said Amazon tends to be the home for 80s properties. They're definitely going for like older, younger millennials that really grew up on this stuff, really trying to, a lot of these IPs have not really been touched in a long time, except for, again, Gem and the Holograms just had a live action movie. I don't necessarily think it did really well at the box office, but maybe the safer route to go is series wise. So let's go ahead and dive into this here. It says, here's some truly outrageous news. Gem and the Holograms is making a comeback. An elevated live action take on the beloved 1980s animated series is in development at Amazon MGM Studios. With Lisa Joy and Jonathan Nolan's studio-based Kilter Films, who has helped who did Westworld and Fallout, are going to be producing this project. The project comes from Hasbro Entertainment, which took it out in late 2025. Amazon quickly emerged as the likely buyer, with Joe and Kilter's attachment rumored from early on. It took months for that to become official and for deals to close. The sale to Amazon comes 41 years after the animated series. Designed to capitalize on the rise of music videos following the launch of the MTV, the show followed record company owner Jerrica Benton and her alter ego Gem, lead singer of the rock group Gem and the Holograms. It featured music videos in every episode and a slew of original songs, including the theme, Truly Outrageous. During its 3-season run, Gem ranked as the most watched cartoon syndicated series, outperforming shows like Transformers and He-Man. Gem's popularity did not fade after the 1988 finale, as it remained one of the most watched syndicated programs through the 90s, with album releases, comic book series, and even a Gem Con, a fan-run convention now in its 20th year. That's kind of crazy. The IP was previously unsuccessfully rebooted with Universal and was directed and produced by John Chu. So yeah, it looks like they're getting ready to go ahead and do a live action series here, again from the same production company that's done Fallout and Westworld, which is insane to me. It makes me kind of curious as to what this show is really gonna look like, if I could be honest with you. Look, I got some thoughts in regards to this. First off, I think the idea of a live action is a great choice here. It also comes at a really interesting time where I think I feel like, because we don't have MTV anymore, the importance of having great music videos isn't as relevant as it certainly used to be back in the day. Like, I would literally come home from school, sit down and watch MTV and TRL and kind of find out like the top 10 music videos of the day or of the week, sort of thing, or maybe it was top 5, I can't remember. But music videos was like a huge thing back in the 90s and early 2000s, and it's a shame that they're not as important as they certainly used to be. And so it would be interesting to kind of see Gem and the Holograms maybe revitalize the concept of music videos again. Like, if we are going to go the live action route, the fact that the animated series itself had music videos, I fully expect this production company to have music videos in every episode. If not every episode, at least a build up towards the finale that will produce a brand new music video for Gem and the Holograms. Now, I don't know who they have attached to this as like a writer or even a director, if they're even that far apart, but I'm gonna make a suggestion here today. I need K-pop Demon Hunter writers attached to this project. Like, if we're talking about creating music and original music scores and potentially music videos, if not every episode at the end, then definitely a build up towards a music video, I feel like you're going to need great music writers to come up with some original content here. And I would love, 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 love K-pop Demon Hunter writing team to be on board here. Now, look, they may already have an exclusive deal with Netflix. I know they're going to be doing another K-pop Demon Hunter movie, but I definitely need great, strong songwriters and somebody that can really tap into current generation type of music. I mean, who knows? Maybe I don't know if this is going to be like a period piece, set in the 90s or wherever the case may be. So whether you're trying to create 90s type of music that Gem and the Holograms is kind of already known for, or if you're going to try and modernize it up a little bit, I would like to see more modern day music in the form of brand new music videos to kind of help make Gem and the Holograms and music videos sort of relevant again for this younger generation. And I think there's a lot of potential here. I do see that Stuart is in fact back. I don't know how much of the story that you wind up hearing here, Stuart, but they're looking to make a live action series for Gem and the Holograms. Have you seen the recent movie? Yes or no? And then what's your thoughts on this news?
Have not seen the movie, but man, that one got critically panned, and also I think even fans were really upset with that movie. But yeah, no, this is an interesting property. The my knowledge of Gem and the Holograms all comes from The Toys That Made Us. I believe it's the Netflix series. Great series. Show. Yeah. So that's where literally all my knowledge for the show comes from. I know that they had like a rivalry with Barbie because Barbie had their like kind of their singing versions of Barbie basically, and of course this was them kind of rivaling that. Yeah, I think there's a few directions they could go with, like you suggesting K-pop Demon Hunter writers. I think that would be a good way to go. I also wonder if like taking it like to kind of the sitcom route would also be, because again, knowing nothing about the cartoon, I don't know if the vibe of the cartoon would fit this, but when I was like in high school, what was becoming really popular on both Disney and Nickelodeon is kind of the sitcoms where we follow singers. There was the Hannah Montana series, and then on Nickelodeon you had shows that were about entire bands. You had the Naked Brothers band, you had Victorious, you had God, there's probably more. I just can't remember the names of them, but you had a lot of them and they all had like kind of the sitcom format. So I could see a live action Gem and the Hologram series if they want to appeal to the young audience, kind of going in that direction. Kind of like with both those shows, I believe like most of them would also have like a new song like every other episode or so. And if assuming this show is like kind of one of those 8-episode seasons type of shows, I don't see why you couldn't have a new music video and a new song in every episode as well. But yeah, I think that there's a lot in terms of marketing that you could make a lot of money off of this with, in terms of tie-in merchandise if the show is successful. I mean, not only can you sell toys from it, but you can actually sell albums, you can sell t-shirts, all this stuff. You can even sell your own like really cheap guitars for the little ones, the ones that aren't like real guitars, they're just buttons to make you think that you're actually playing it. So I think that it makes sense that this is a property that Amazon would want to get their hands on. Whether it's good or not, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the idea of like all the merchandising benefits that could kind of come out of this, because it is a case of like just like exclusive to Amazon, Prime. Like you could only order it Prime exclusives or things like that. The idea of like selling an album cover would be pretty cool. Pexy says, come to think of it, Hannah Montana was like a modern take on Gem. So yeah, maybe they kind of use that as example kind of going forward. I'm just like thinking of like visuals and stuff. We talked about K-pop Demon Hunter writers. Maybe like if we had to build a team to kind of put this together, that would be my first bet. But I'm sure you have great other musical writers out there that can come out and do this. But I don't know why, like if in my head, Stuart, I think of a collaboration of like K-pop Demon Hunters as the writers, and then I need the directors from Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Oh my God, Edgar Wright. I don't.
Oh, that's right. I don't know because like I don't see Edgar Wright directed, but I mean like from a more of like a visual standpoint, like the 16-bit graphics or like really cool animation to kind of go along with some of the beats because of the fact that it was like an 80s cartoon and stuff. I think maybe helping adding some of those elements to the live action television series would be pretty interesting to me. So that would be the collaboration I would like to see.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. I'm now just like picturing what that would look like though if Edgar Wright was directing Gem the Holograms. I don't imagine. I don't know. Like, has he directed anything that's written by someone else? Because like as far as I know, he tends to write all of his
original
movies. Yeah. So I'd be curious if he'd be willing to work with another writer because that would be fun to see.
Pexy says Amazon MGM is doing a live action Gem series. Hopefully they study the franchise, learn from Universal's 2015 mistakes, and just call it Gem like the original show. He says it was all over the place. It was so bad that the movie was taken out of theaters after just 1 week. That's crazy. Yeah. Tony Robinson with the music video shows. Yeah, MTV Jams, 106 in Park, Rhapsody, and TRL. Like those were the things back in the day if you were like grew up on music videos in the 90s along with early 2000s, man, for sure. 2 days ago on Hasbro Plus YouTube channel, they released the Gem and the Holograms theme song. So yeah, maybe they released it based off of the news that was kind of coming out also. So that's kind of cool. I'll have to go ahead and check it out. I personally was not a big Gem and the Holograms fan. I knew of it, but I didn't necessarily watch it very much. I just remember thinking like, oh, that's Dazzler. But I'm like, no, that's Gem. She always seemed like Dazzler from the X-Men would fit perfectly in that group. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts. Amazon MGM taking another stab at Gem and the Holograms, but this time a live action series. What would you like to see from this potential series? Any suggestions for Amazon MGM when putting this series together? We definitely would love to know your guys' thoughts.
Remember the rumors that Taylor Swift was going to be playing the Dazzler in Deadpool and Wolverine?
I fully bought into it, man. I was ready, and it never happened. Just crushed my hopes, bro. Crushed my hopes. All right, guys.
It would have been crazy.
It would have been crazy. Moving on to our next topic here, we are going to get into the world of some comic book movie world, and that's going to be the DCU. That's right. DC Studios is back, because we got ourselves an update in regards to the potential writers for Paradise Lost. Now, while it feels like James Gunn has been making recent announcements surrounding like new movies or new series that are just like everything not mentioned in his chapter 1 Gods and Monsters, it seems like we're getting from the DCU. But over the past year or so, James Gunn has been really open about the idea that two big names are really now being focused on. Wonder Woman is being heavily focused on, and Batman is being focused on. Wonder Woman in the sense of a brand new movie that Anna Nogueira seemingly is attached to as the writer, but also one of the projects that he did announce during his Chapter 1 God and Monsters reveal, which is Paradise Lost, which is set to go ahead and be sort of like the birth of Themyscira's Island, the Amazons, and really set up as sort of a Wonder Woman prequel. Over the past couple months, we have heard that they are still heavily focusing on both the Wonder Woman and Paradise Lost series, and it seems as though we might have ourselves a pretty positive update here. It hasn't officially been announced by James Gunn, but there might be something brewing, Stuart. Let's go ahead and pull this up, as we might have found our writers here. This comes to us from Collider.com. Let me go back to this here we go. Wonder Woman's prequel series officially moves forward with new writers. It says, here we go. Back in April, he replied on Threads that the Themyscira set Wonder Woman prequel series Paradise Lost was in extreme development, confirming both it and the Booster Gold series are still happening despite a lack of updates. Adding even more smoke to that fire now is that head writers have seemingly been found per the Writers Guild of America website. So this isn't like Joe Blow website or anything like that. This is from the Writers Guild of America. Kira Snyder and Janet Lynn are both currently listed as attached to Paradise Lost, though their exact titles, whether it be showrunners or something else, are yet unknown. There has yet to be an official confirmation from Gunn about their development either, but it's a fairly definitive indication that they're helping in some capacity to make the series happen. Both bring solid resumes to the DCU, with Snyder previously writing and producing for The Handmaid's Tale and For All Mankind, and Lynn having worked on the first season of Bridgerton. This project would be a unique one for them, approaching the idealistic Amazonian nation from the historical perspective before Diana ever wielded her lasso of truth. Safran previously likened it to the Game of Thrones, explaining how it would explore all the darkness and drama and political intrigue behind the society of only women, and answers any questions about Themyscira's existence. So yeah, according to the Writers Guild of America website, Kira Snyder and Janet Lynn are both currently listed attached to Paradise Lost, with Kira Snyder having previously written The Handmaid's Tale and For All Mankind, and Janet Lynn having worked on the first season of Bridgerton. So maybe one day James Gunn will decide to go ahead and finally confirm this. But as of right now, let's take this a little bit with a grain of salt. But again, it is coming from the Writers Guild of America, so it does seem like it's pretty important here to talk about. How do you feel about this, Stuart? Based off of these two women potentially being attached, some of their previous work, what do you think the fit is going to be like here for Paradise Lost, if this certainly does turn out to be true? And are you excited that we finally have an update here?
Kind of excited to finally get an update. The update itself, I wouldn't say is disappointing, but definitely didn't excite me, mostly because when it comes to both of these series, well, when it comes to Bridgerton, I just couldn't get interested. When it comes to Handmaid's Tale, that's more on me. That was more just I finished season 1 and I was way too depressed to go any farther, because dear God, Handmaid's Tale is a very heavy show, so it takes a lot to get through, and I just never got through it, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I am curious what that dynamic will be, because there are two very different shows. Like, one of them is an extremely dark drama. The other one is kind of like a romantic drama comedy, I guess you could say. So I'm very curious how the two writing styles are going to merge together to create a Game of Thrones like fantasy world. But yeah, I would say that this definitely puts me in the middle of not being disappointed, but definitely not being hyped or excited about this announcement, Oh, you're muted.
I muted myself and I said, Adam, remember to unmute yourself. And I immediately forgot to unmute myself. But anyway, no, I definitely understand your sentiments towards this. For me, I'm a little bit more positive. I think just because of the fact that I have been wanting this for such a long time. I think the potential for a Paradise Lost television series, it could be remarkable. I love the idea of a Game of Thrones-esque type of show for this world. I am kind of curious to see how other fans would feel about it, if this is going to get the same treatment of Green Lantern being a true detective story. If people will see a first trailer and be like, this isn't Wonder Woman. Why does it feel like Game of Thrones that I'm watching? I just, I need more lassos. I need invisible jets. I am kind of curious as to how people will take. Although I will say, I think maybe Game of Thrones maybe fits the Amazonian type stuff a little bit more. Whereas I think, to be fair, I think True Detective is a much wilder of a swing for Green Lantern. So I do think that people will digest Game of Thrones-esque for Themyscira a lot easier.
Yeah, that I would definitely agree with. I feel like it's a lot easier to sell fans on, Game of Thrones meets, Themyscira, or Themyscira meets Game of Thrones. I feel like, you say that to a DC fan, they're like, oh yeah, I can see how that would work. Whereas you try to sell a DC fan on Green Lanterns, but it's dark and gritty and grounded, just like True Detective, and it's like, What?
Huh? How you gonna make that work? Yeah, no, for sure. And I would recommend anybody, if you get the opportunity, to check out I believe it's the 1984 or 1987. I can't remember what year it came out. The George Perez run on Wonder Woman. If you can find a way to read the very first issue of the George Perez Wonder Woman run, I believe it might have been like fresh off of Crisis of Infinite Earth sort of thing. So it was like really trying to establish a new mythology and a new lore for Wonder Woman. And the first issue alone really kind of like gives you the plot, it feels like, of what Paradise Lost could potentially be, as it definitely focuses heavily on the creation of Themyscira, how it became an island of just Amazonian women and things like that. And I think a really great jumping off point for a television series that you can really build off of. So I've been really excited for this. The fact that it's getting more and more momentum really excites me, because it is a series that I definitely want to see happen. But to be fair, I have never watched Bridgerton. I have only watched a couple of episodes of Handmaid's Tale. But based off of the success alone of Bridgerton, how massive that show certainly was, I think it even got like a theatrical release movie, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe I'm wrong in that regards, or maybe it was straight to Netflix. I don't remember. But I remember how big and popular Bridgerton certainly was, and Handmaid's Tale was just as popular, if not bigger, in regards to it. So my girlfriend loved Handmaid's Tale. I think she's even watching like the most recent spinoff that just dropped this year also. She talks about it heavily in regards to impact and stuff also. So I really do trust those writers. I mean, especially if we're talking about an island of women, and potentially the idea of like, if there were ever any men on this island to kind of begin the history of Themyscira, I think they found maybe two really great writers and showrunners that can really dive into just the drama that could definitely unfold in that type of environment, the time period that kind of all this really takes place in. And so if they can take sort of like that mentality of Bridgerton and Handmaid's Tale and bring that to a Themyscira sort of Wonder Woman prequel, I think from a writing perspective, I don't want to say I don't know if you could have done better, but the fact that you've got these two kind of attached makes me think that this series is definitely in much better hands than I previously would have thought. So I think James Gunn has a real good eye for talent, and maybe matching up the writers and the creators to the projects themselves that might really work for them and boost it to a different level. And I think they could do that here with Paradise Lost if these two are in fact connected. I think there's a lot of potential here, Stuart.
Yeah. I think so too. I think that like James Gunn definitely thinks about like a writers and directors like strengths and weaknesses before like picking them up for like a certain project. So I think it's just that he probably sees something in their writing that he knows like would be perfect for this type of show. So I'm very curious to see what that is.
If anything, I am curious as to I do wonder how that works out, right? Like if he announces, hey, we want to do a Paradise Lost in the form of Game of Thrones, does he then reach out to creators that he thinks would do really well and like pitches them what he wants, and they're like, okay, yeah, I'll try and work on something for you? Or do these people actually come forward and be like, hey, I heard you were working on this, I've got this idea, let me write out a pilot script and send something to you? Like, I am kind of curious if he reached out to these two ladies, or if they reached out to him with the passion of writing this. I'm kind of curious as to how that works in Hollywood, or if it's sometimes either or in that regards,
I think for the DCU, for James Gunn specifically, it's a little bit of both. And I say that because it sounded like he had chosen the team beforehand when it came to Green Lanterns. And I say this based completely on the timing of when he was announced as a studio executive, and then when he started to announce like who was going to be working on what early on. It sounded like he had an idea for a team like as he became an executive and then hired those people on. But it also sounds like there's a mixture of him listening to other pitches, because that's kind of how Clayface came into production. Like that wasn't even originally planned. That was just pitched to him, which is again what's getting me more excited about it. It's kind of like the Mandalorian with Disney. Like Disney didn't like go up to any writers and were like, hey, we need someone to work on a Mandalorian TV show. It was just Jon Favreau going to Disney and being like, hey guys, since you guys own Star Wars, I have this awesome idea for a show. You want to hear it?
That's true. Yeah, you might be right. I mean, who knows? Maybe he had these two in mind when he already announced Paradise Lost. And then maybe the idea of seeing what they were able to create, maybe he wanted a little bit more, and maybe he reached out to somebody else to actually come on board and help kind of shape it. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if like maybe the Handmaid's Tale writer was already like approached about doing this. And then maybe the Bridgerton writer was somebody that wind up coming in and adding kind of their own flavor to it a little bit, right? So I would be kind of curious to see how Paradise Lost comes together, but the fact that it is in fact moving forward at extreme pace, I think is good news here. Whenever we'll see if we get any future updates from James Gunn himself, but this is one that has me really excited for the future, because I think it's finally another chapter 1 series or announcement that's actually coming to fruition. Kind of makes me really happy to kind of see something's moving forward.
Yeah, definitely excited about that. And what's also good to know is that if this ends up not being true, we'll probably hear about it from James Gunn himself in the next couple of days.
Yeah. I'm surprised he hasn't mentioned anything as of yet. So we'll see. I think this article was released like 2-3 days ago. So we'll see come Monday or Tuesday if James Gunn has anything to certainly say about it. He's busy filming right now, so he's probably missing a lot of this stuff that's being talked about.
Oh yeah, true.
But with that out of the way, let us know your thoughts, guys. Paradise Lost potentially having the Handmaid's Tale and Bridgerton writers attached as either maybe writer or showrunner. How do you feel about that combination being paired with the Wonder Woman prequel series? Definitely would love to know your guys' thoughts in the comment section box below. Tony Robinson says, R.I.P. Oliver Tree. Should I know that name? Oliver Tree. I see American songwriter and producer. Oh, I think I've seen him before. Maybe. I don't know. He looks familiar. I'm not sure, but we'll see. All right. With that out of the way, let's move on to our next topic, as we are set to visit the world of Doctor Who. Where my Whovians at? Where my Whovians at? I need to get me a TARDIS for sure. Look, man, Doctor Who has seen better days. The past couple of seasons for Doctor Who, maybe not necessarily the best. BBC had a massive deal with Disney to go ahead and dual cast and stream brand new episodes of Doctor Who, not only on BBC, but also on a Disney Plus streaming service. I think they did that for like 2 seasons. And then Disney's like, no, we're good. And immediately canceled that deal that they wind up having. And it's really kind of left the BBC and the Doctor Who treading water right now. We had a massive reveal as Rose Tyler, played by Billy. Damn, why can't I remember her last name now? But the first companion, Rose, has in fact sort of returned as the regeneration for the Doctor has regenerated into Rose. And that was the massive cliffhanger that we wind up getting on the last season of Doctor Who. A lot more was certainly set to be explored in this year's Christmas special, but all of that, Stuart, is now officially upended, as it seems as though BBC and Doctor Who are set to take a little bit of a hiatus here. So Doctor Who fans, I'm really sorry to say, but the future for Doctor Who right now seemingly is going to be put on hold. Let me go ahead and pull up this article here. This comes to us straight from deadline.com. Where is it at? Oh, there we go. Doctor Who set to be off air for years amid a creative regeneration that's failing to spark enthusiasm among producers. So it says it seems like even the people working on Doctor Who are like, bruh, I don't know what to do anymore. This is an exclusive. This is Doctor What happened to the okay? The Doctor is famed for having powers of regeneration, but the shape-shifting Time Lord's next transformation could well be the most challenging yet. That's the early verdict of the UK industry insiders after the BBC dropped a TARDIS bombshell on Wednesday when the broadcaster announced a major creative rethink of Doctor Who. Gone is a Christmas special, which had been greenlit only 8 months previously, and perhaps more consequentially, the showrunner Russell T Davies and the producer Bad Wolf have abandoned ship. Two insiders said it was a mutual parting of ways after all sides realized that Doctor Who required a level of surgery that cannot be masked by the sticky plaster of a festive episode. This creative surgery is expected to take years, potentially keeping the show off TV until 2028 at the earliest, sources said. The outcome was obvious to anyone close to the show. Davies had no script, though there are conflicting accounts about exactly how much he had written, and there was no actor attached to play the Doctor. These were insurmountable issues with less than 6 months to get the special on screen, even if post-production would have been shortened by the absence of an international partner. Some were surprised that the Christmas episode was even announced by BBC last October. One person said it was unveiled more in hope than expectation and was done to calm concerns that Doctor Who was being scrapped after Disney ditched its co-production deal. Davies more or less confirmed this when he posted on Instagram that the special was only cooked up to guarantee a future when no one knew what would happen. In the statement, BBC said the decision to cancel the Christmas episode was not taken lightly, acknowledging that the news would be disappointing for fans. They announced that they were now focused on securing the next phase of the show for future generations. It looks as though right now Russell T Davies and Bad Wolf have in fact departed the BBC and the Doctor Who franchise. It's set to go under creative surgery, expected to take years, and the earliest that we can expect Doctor Who would certainly be something like 2028, if at all, if that even happens here. Did you start off the Paradise Lost thoughts, Stuart, or did I?
I don't remember actually.
I'll let you take this one if you want to. Doctor Who set to be off air for years. How are you feeling about this, Stu? Did you see this coming? Do you think this is the right time? What are your thoughts on the IP as of right now? Just what are your thoughts overall about this?
I got to be honest. I didn't see this coming, but I'm not surprised. Now, please note, I have not kept up with Doctor Who since Peter Capaldi. It has been that long since I have watched. Basically, the moment, and look, I know everyone keeps telling me, "Hey, Peter Capaldi, it gets really good," but unfortunately, he did not have a good first impression on me, and that was why I stopped. I think it was also just because like David Tennant and Matt Smith had a very specific performance to them that I just absolutely loved, and so when it came to Peter Capaldi, very much took the Doctor in a different direction. I was just like, well, there goes everything I loved about the show. So I did not give it the fair chance that I think it deserved. So that being said, I've been out of touch with Doctor Who for quite some time. I saw the first season of I forgot her name, but the 12th Doctor. I saw the first season of her show and thought it was all right, but never saw the second season. And then I haven't seen a single episode with our new Doctor, unfortunately. And that means I also haven't seen the special where they brought back David Tennant. I haven't seen any of that. But I have been seeing a lot of the trash talking going on. Now, here's the other thing. Like most of the trash talking I've seen about Doctor Who does tend to come from kind of the chuddier side of YouTube, the people that were never really Doctor Who fans to begin with. They're just complaining about it now because now it's gone woke, even though again this is one of those shows where if you've been watching since 2005 you would know it's always been woke. But now they have a black guy as a Doctor, and for some reason that's something they just can't let go of. So that to be said, that that's where I've been hearing the trash talking. But unlike most IPs where that's the case, where it's like you hear the trash talking from kind of the anti-woke crowd, I haven't really been hearing much from the, just casual, like just the fans of Doctor Who about the most recent seasons. So I think it's just kind of goes to show like the viewership probably just isn't there. Like if the only people who are watching it to hate watch it so they can make YouTube content, I think that's probably their sign of we should probably revamp the show a little bit or just take like a little bit of a break. So if I were to assume why they might be they might be taking a break with Doctor Who, it's probably something to do with that. It's also, it's too bad, but it's not something I would worry about. Doctor Who has been around since the 1950s, I believe, right? 1950, that was when they originally started. Yeah, so it's going to be around again. I think that if the show does stop airing for a little bit, give it like 2 or 3 years, it'll come back. And even if it's longer than that, I think the original run ended in like the 80s. They had a movie and then it didn't come back until 2005. So it was never truly gone. And I think that the same can be said with with Doctor Who nowadays. So even if it's off the air temporarily because they haven't figured out the direction they want to take the show in currently, I wouldn't worry about it being off the air for good. Like I do think we're eventually going to come back to it. Doctor Who will never die. He will always be resurrected, basically.
Yeah, I do think they're, if anything, I would just say I hope that the hiatus certainly isn't as long as it was previously between the end of the first run and then the reboot back in 2005. Because I just think there's so much more story that you can kind of tell. I would agree with you. Like for me, I love the Peter Capaldi stuff. I know he didn't leave the best first impression on you, but I really did love both of his seasons. It really wasn't until we wind up getting into Jodie Whittaker's and then Ncuti Gat was a doctor that I really fell off. To be fair, I tried to watch some of his season. I think I watched the first 2 episodes when it first premiered, and I personally just could not get into it. The dynamic, the tone of it was just vastly different. It felt like, I don't know if they were trying to, I think Russell T Davies came back, but it still felt significantly different to me, and I just eventually just never really gave it a shot. So I am all for the idea of them doing this, even though I am a big Doctor Who fan. Sometimes you just need to take a break and take a step back and find out what really works and what certainly doesn't for this show. And so I do think that this is definitely some type of creative surgery that needs to happen. Even if it's not 2028, 2029, 2030, I would be okay with that. I just want them to find themselves a great writing team, really get a sense of tone that they want for this show. And really continue to just dive into the heavy sci-fi elements of it all and really allow that to be its main focus. But a little bit of a bummer. I mean, I don't want to say I didn't feel like, I don't want to say I did not see this coming. But it's still kind of shocking to me. I thought for sure we would at least get the Christmas special to kind of answer any long-lasting questions that we had, and they're just like, you know what, we're just going to go ahead and drop that. So that definitely does surprise me here. But at some point in time, you got to rip the Band-Aid off. And because I just think if you had just dropped another season of Doctor Who, I don't necessarily know if the anticipation for it would be there, if the excitement would be there, and you're just continuing to dig yourself a bigger and bigger grave. So taking yourself away from public eye for a couple of years, I think, is probably a smart move. I mean, just look at the DCU in that regards, right? Like they definitely need to separate themselves by a couple of years before they wrapped up the DCEU and then launched off with the DCU. And I think it's okay sometimes to kind of take yourself away from public eye and then come back rebooted, retooled, and having people on the crew that are really energized and really excited about the the new way forward, because as of right now, it doesn't seem like they're finding many of those people over at the BBC as of right now. So I don't mind this decision. I'm bummed about the decision, but I don't mind the decision because I do think at the end of the day, it really will benefit the Doctor Who franchise. And I would agree with you. I don't think we're ever going to get back to the point, Stuart, of a long hiatus for Doctor Who like that again. But every now and then, I mean, we have been going on this ship for 20 years since the reboot back in 2005, right? So maybe after 20 years, maybe maybe a breather does everybody a favor, you know?
Yeah, and then during that breather, I can like actually catch up on the series.
Yeah, you know, I think somebody in one of the comments, or I think I posted this on when I posted this story on Facebook, I think it was Marcelino actually that left a comment that said, you know, this might be great for some fans that have not really seen Doctor Who, or, you know, some people that were fans but might have missed other seasons, in the sense of giving them the opportunity now to be able to catch up and kind of go back and revisit some of the stuff. Because I do want to go through Jodie Whittaker's season, because I am fascinated, because that's one that I completely missed. But I would like to kind of go back and do a rewatch. So you might be right. Maybe this is a good opportunity for us to do some Doctor Who rewatches.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts. Doctor Who set for hiatus, not set to return until at least early 2028, but that certainly still seems up in the air. But how do you guys feel as Doctor Who fans? We had a huge line of doctors, to say the least. You know, are you bummed about the hiatus? Would you like to see the hiatus return in 2028? Or is it a case of take as much time as you need, just come back revitalized and re-energized? But let us know your thoughts on the hiatus for Doctor Who. Next up, Stuart, let's move on to another topic here, another big IP, as Transformers is back in the news. As we have new management over at Paramount, new management usually means new ideas and new visions in regards to where they want to go ahead and take some of their potential IP. We had the successful Travis Knight Bumblebee movie that eventually led us into the Rise of the Beast Transformers movie that eventually was teased to eventually have given us a G.I. Joe and Transformers live action movie. But it seems ever since we got new management over at Paramount, the Transformers franchise is now sort of rethinking and trying to change things up a bit in regards to where they want to go next. And over the past couple of months, if not couple of years, it seems as though we've been getting a lot of news about this writer is directing this writer is putting together a new Transformers movie. And then now we've got an announcement for another writer doing a Transformers movie. And believe it or not, Stuart, today we've got another announcement for a writer doing a Transformers movie. I swear Paramount is literally collecting writers like Thanos collecting Infinity Stones, trying to create the ultimate Transformers movie. As the rap is saying, new Transformer movie taps it. Welcome to Dairy writer Jason, that's Fuchs, ladies and gentlemen, not Fucks, Fuchs, as the writer for a new Transformers movie. Let's dive into this article and see what's happening here. Welcome to Dairy writer Jason Fuchs has been tapped to write an untitled Transformers script for Paramount and Hasbro. The rap has exclusively learned. Plot details are being kept under wraps. Fuchs' script is one of many in development at the studio, as Jurassic World writer Derek Connolly is also writing the Transformers and G.I. Joe crossover movie. The untitled new movie will continue the story of the 2023's Transformers Rise of the Beast, where Anthony Ramos' character Noah Diaz was offered a job with the G.I. Joe in the film's post-credit scene. That's really, it says Fuchs is one of today's most in-demand writers in Hollywood. As a screenwriter, has his films have grossed over $1.9 billion at the box office. He is currently writing a live-action feature adaptation of My Hero Academia for Netflix and Legendary. Yeah, so he's coming on board fresh off of Welcome to Derry, which was a great series. Also, if you haven't checked that out, he is now tapped to write another script. So let me get this right. So Fuchs is one of many in development at the studio to create a movie, but they also have a Jurassic World writer, Derek Connolly, who's also writing Transformers and G.I. Joe crossover movie. But then it says the untitled new movie, is this Jason Fuchs movie? Will continue the story after the Transformers Rise of the Beast. But I thought that was the Derek Connolly, that writer that was doing Transformers and I'm so confused right now, Stuart. I feel like
I don't think even Paramount's keeping track of like which Transformers movies aren't in development, because I was told that the G.I. Joe Transformers movie wasn't happening now and that they're just going to do a G.I. Joe movie.
Yeah,
like
what is happening right now, Paramount? What is happening?
It's just what I think is gonna happen is I think they're just gonna lead to some more disasters. Because like, here's the thing, man. You know, when it comes to, we talked about this when we were reviewing Masters of the Universe, but I think the big reason why a lot of these big budget films will feel so incoherent and so like bad a lot of times, and I think the Transformers movies are like prime example, no pun intended. Too many writers. I think like when you have more than two writers working on a movie, your movie is doomed to fail, honestly, because at that point it's like the writer, I guess, is the director, because now he has to choose between so many different sources to choose from, and then that's what ends up leading to a very incoherent film. At least I don't know if that's actually how it works, but that's how I think it works. And I say that because I can't think of like, people in the comments definitely let me know if I'm wrong, but like, can you guys think of like good movies? And I don't mean like fun movies. I don't mean like a movie that you enjoy watching. I mean a movie that gets you emotional, one that like can really tug at the heartstrings. Can you think of a movie like that that had more than two writers? Because at the moment, and of course I'm saying this all off the top of my head, so I haven't actually done any research into this thought that I'm currently having, but right now I don't think it's possible to have like an emotionally gripping movie if you have more than two writers on your film. I think that I don't know, it's just too many cooks. I think that's the problem, and that's what it sounds like the problem is going to be with Paramount. It's like I don't even know if they're keeping track of which movies are being written by which person, and it's all, man, I don't know. As for this specific, if we're specifically talking about this guy writing the next Transformers movie, interesting choice. I definitely was a big fan of Welcome to Derry, as I think I've pointed out on this podcast before. Let me check really quick. What else has Jason Fuchs worked on?
Yeah, I was just looking up his IMDb page.
It looks like he was a writer for the 2017 Wonder Woman. But he also did Argyle. Oh, wait, no, wait. He was an actor in that. Sorry. I'm looking at his acting cred. Oh, wow. He's done a lot less in terms of writing.
Yeah, I see Wonder Woman story by him, Wonder Woman in 2017, Argyle in 2024, Welcome to Derry in 2025. Is that Pan? Is that what is that? Pan? Is that a Peter
Pan movie? Yeah. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. This isn't apart from Welcome to Derry. I don't think I like any one of these movies except for Wonder Woman, of course. Which is the story by. But Pan was pretty bad. I don't think I've enjoyed any of the Ice Age movies since the first one. So Continental Drift, I don't know if I've seen. Maybe I should before I judge it. Argyle was pretty bad though. Okay, so I like I'll give him credit. I liked Welcome to Derry and Wonder Woman, but not the most impressive resume.
I mean, the fact that this article says that he's like the most sought after writer in Hollywood with his movies grossing $1.9 billion, like how is that possible? Like maybe half of that is all from Wonder Woman. Like I wonder if I can't remember what Wonder Woman did at the box office, but I'm looking at some of his stuff and I'm like, damn, bro. Maybe there's some other things that he's been attached to that necessarily aren't on his IMDb, but we'll definitely have to see how it turns out. I guess for me, I would agree with your sentiments of like just too many cooks in the kitchen for this. But then again, I think this is almost kind of normal for a studio sometimes because I feel like Game of Thrones probably goes through this as well in the sense of like having multiple concepts and ideas kind of floating around, and you're really just waiting on a writer to just make something that just really stands out, like maybe having 3 or 4 writers working on something, but you haven't really committed to anyone's particular script until somebody really separates themselves from the rest of the pack. Maybe you like elements of this script, but then you also like elements of this script, and you think maybe these 2 writers can collab and kind of come up with one big script that really works and builds off of one another, sort of thing. But I would agree, as long I just don't want too many cooks in the kitchen working all on the same project. If they're all different projects and writers are kind of attached to it, trying to bend and meld and finally come up with a concrete script that really works for the production studio, and then Paramount's like, this is the one that we want to greenlight and move forward with. I feel like that's probably kind of normal when it comes to studios, but the constant announcements of new Transformer writer announced, I at this point I just would like an idea of what does the Transformers future even look like right now. Is there a roadmap? Is this just let's just throw things against the wall and see what sticks and then moves in that direction? Because that's what this feels like to me.
Yeah.
Instead of actually like having a roadmap. And so maybe they're just still waiting for but then again, I said that about Bumblebee. I said that about Rise of the Beast. Like, we've got great foundational pieces, I think. But the idea of like building off of that never seems to be the case. It almost seems as though we kind of want to build off of it, but we still want our own standalone thing. So we have this ability to maneuver and go in different directions if we want to, instead of just staying course, sort of thing. And that's just kind of really annoying to me, honestly. So I hope Paramount has an idea as to what they want to do with this franchise, because at this point, it just doesn't feel like they do. And they're just hoping that one of these many scripts just eventually happen to work for them and start green lighting it kind of going forward. But then it would make me worry, like, okay, if you were to announce a Transformers movie, what's after that? Like, where do you go after that? Or is it just very much a wait and see for them? And so a little bit bummed, but we'll see how this turns out. This does not make me excited for the future of Transformers whatsoever. I just want something greenlit at some point in time. Like, I want the next announcement to be like, they've landed a writer, they've landed a director. This is what's kind of moving forward, because it just seems like all the pieces are all over the place. Is it a G.I. Joe crossover? Is it not? Are we doing a reboot? Is this building off of Rise of the Beast? Like, what's happening, guys? Like, I definitely need to know. But yeah, let us know your thoughts in regards to this. Kiki and Lucas says Transformers movies made $1 billion back in the day, but not great recently. Yeah, they definitely have hurt themselves. Although I still think Transformers, well, I don't know how well Transformers movies do at the box office right now, because ever since the pandemic, I don't think Rise of the Beast was massive. Maybe that movie might have broken even. I don't know what Bumblebee did. I think Bumblebee was kind of smaller box office also, because it was kind of building off of The Last Night. Marcelo says Transformers 1 was envisioned as a trilogy and the director wanted more, but box office bomb. Despite it, from what I've heard, Transformers 1 being a great movie.
It was.
I still haven't had the opportunity to check it out, but maybe I will one day.
Yeah, it's too bad that it didn't get the numbers they were hoping for in the box office, because I think that it would have been a perfect setup for a whole nother franchise, honestly.
Yeah, you might be right. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts in regards to the path that Paramount finds itself when it comes to adding another Transformers writer. Let us know your thoughts, guys. And then last but not least, we will wrap up with this last story. We have talked really heavily, I think, about the executive producers, writers, and directors of Lord and Miller, who, believe it or not, actually did bring us 21 Jump Street. And they are back in the news here this week because it seems as though, Stuart, they are set to go ahead and bring the band back together. As it looks as though we've already had a 21 Jump Street. We've already had a 22 Jump Street, but this time we need a 24 Jump Street. That's right, a 24 Jump Street. They went ahead and revealed the script a couple days ago.
So long make, we had to skip one.
They got the list of the writers on there: Rodney Rothman, Jonah Hill, along with Megan Mallory, perhaps. I can't see the last name underneath the banner right now. But it is moving forward. They've got themselves a final script for 24 Jump Street. And we got an article here from Variety that will fill in some of the blanks for us here. So let me go ahead and pull this up. This comes for us from Variety. 24 Jump Street in the works with Jonah Hill, Channing Tatum, and Ice Cube in talks to return. Rodney Rothman from Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse will direct the film, and he also helped write the script with Jonah Hill and Megan Malloy, Also returning are producers Lord and Miller, who helmed the first two films, 21 Jump Street and 22 Jump Street as well. A third installment of the successful Jump Street film franchise has been in development at Sony for more than a decade. Tatum once described the script for the since scrapped 23 Jump Street as the best script that I've ever read for a third movie. That film apparently was designed to be a crossover with the Men in Black franchise.
I remember that.
It says, why skip ahead to 24 Jump Street? It says, well, for starters, the Jump Street movies are already a self-aware reboot of the 1980s television series. Plus, the coda to 22 Jump Street sees Schmidt and Jenko take on a series of other undercover missions that could have served as a potential 23rd Jump Street. The duo infiltrate a medical school, culinary school, firefighter school, dance school, and seminary, then go to space and eventually become a video game and animated series. Thus, Sony titled the forthcoming film 24th Jump Street continues the running gag.
That's really funny. I do wonder if that post-credit scene where it's basically a gag of them like going undercover in all these different operations, and then Jonah Hill getting replaced by Seth Rogen and then coming back as Jonah Hill. I wonder if all that is going to be canon in this movie. If that was all just like a funny. It wouldn't surprise me either. I mean, this was almost in the same universe as Men in Black, so I could see them going that direction of all that was canon. We just didn't see it.
I wonder if the Men in Black International film bombing, if that kind of caused them to take a pause on doing that. Maybe that's why they didn't execute the 23 Jump Street movie after all. I don't know the timing of it all, but I'm kind of hoping that what you said is true, that based off of the ending of 22 Jump Street, like just all the different things that they wind up doing, if that is canonical, and that would really explain a lot, I think, jumping into 24 Jump Street here. But you tell me Lord and Miller are coming back as executive producers. I don't think that they would if they didn't have a really fun and unique script to help put together and hopefully bring everybody back here. So I'm excited for this. I'm glad that we finally got it. We're finally going to get maybe a trilogy to this film. This is probably the last one. We'll see how it does at the box office. If it does really well, they'll probably get a 25th Jump Street at some point in time. But I do like this news, Stuart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Lord Miller, I've never seen a single movie by them that I didn't like. And I love the first two 21 Jump Street movies. 21 and 22nd Jump Street were both absolutely hilarious films. And I love Channing Tatum and Jonah Hill's like dynamics. So yeah, this is one that I'm excited about.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with you there. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts. 24 Jump Street in the news. We got ourselves a script for it as well. I think they said that they have offered a role for Channing Tatum to return, but not quite sure if everybody else has negotiated yet. But the plan is certainly to bring everybody back. But let us know your thoughts if you'd like to see a 24 Jump Street.
I don't know if I'd be as interested without Channing Tatum, not gonna lie.
Tony Robinson says, I wouldn't mind if Brie Larson returned. Was she in 21 Jump Street, or he's talking about Transformers? I can't remember. Was Brie Larson in Transformers, or was she in 21 Jump Street movies?
Was she in 21? I'm looking this up because I actually can't remember. She was in 21. She was. Oh my god, she was one of the students in 21. Okay, she was Jonah Hill's love interest.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna give her credit. Like a lot of times, you take adult actresses, you put them in like kind of a wig with bangs, and you expect us to believe that they're teenagers. But looking at Brie Larson specifically in 2012, she pulled it off. I'll give her credit. Yeah, I bought her as a teenager.
But yeah, let us know your thoughts in regards to 24 Jump Street. And with that out of the way, Stuart, I think you know what time it is.
I do indeed.
And now, everybody, it is time for live viewer questions.
And we're going to get into our live viewer questions portion of the show. If you would ever like to submit a live viewer question over, how would you do that? Well, let me go ahead and show you. So every Saturday afternoon or Saturday evening, I will go ahead and make a post right here on our YouTube channel, as you see at A+ Hero Report. Again, every Saturday afternoon or Saturday evening, click on this post tab, as you see right here. And voila, there will be a live viewer question post for you guys. We got 13 comments. Thank you guys for everybody certainly participating here. Let's go through this from latest to most recent and see what's going on here. Let's kick things off with some Power Rangers here from AJ in the Morphing Grid. Turbo, a dynamic overhaul. I revisited the entire second half of Power Rangers Turbo a couple of months ago, and it was a major turning point for this series as the new cast and crew successfully aligned the show with its Japanese source material, Car Ranger. Through flawlessly executed morphing sequences and Ashley Hammond's natural tie-in to the mechanic theme, under the guidance of head writer Chip Lynn, the show embraced serialized storytelling, including the 7-part Phantom Ranger arc and the Mega Ranger-inspired episode Spirit of the Woods, while also rewriting Justin Stewart to act more like a relatable child who played soccer, hung out with friends his own age, and went out for pizza. Given how these creative shifts successfully revitalized the season and laid the narrative groundwork for Power Rangers in Space, do you think the TurboCast transition is the most underrated handoff in the franchise's history? Ooh. I don't know. There's a part of me that kind of thinks so. And I only say that because from going from Turbo to In Space and what In Space ended up turning out to be, I don't know. I wonder if there's a part of me that wants to say yes, Stuart.
Yeah. Because here's the thing, we wouldn't have had that great transition to In Space had it not been for the big overhaul in Turbo.
I would agree. Yeah, I think you might be right. Because I don't know if I was ever because Turbo really brought down my expectations for Power Rangers. But after the transition and then the handoff into space, dude, I was hyped for In Space. Like, I was really looking forward to In Space. And then In Space ended up delivering. So that might be one of the more underrated transitions and handoffs that we've had. I would agree with that one. For sure.
I think it was just like when Turbo came out, it was like at a time where they weren't even sure if they were going to continue the franchise. So their only thought was, let's adapt to the current Sentai and see how it does. And it makes sense that the transition to constantly adapting the current Sentai was like a bit rough at first, but I mean, you got to give them credit where credit's due. Like they figured it. They kind of made a really quick turnaround once they did kind of figure out their footing, not only with, Turbo, but then of course, immediately like when they started In Space.
Let's see here. We also got Marcelino in the house with a couple questions. Recently, stuff like Star Wars and the MCU have strayed away from their typical fandom and broadened their audience with different tones and for different styles of stories. Andor, Daredevil, Born Again are more of a more mature audience in the world where most of the projects are for everyone to watch. However, when does the opposite happen? When do you argue that no matter how successful or popular a franchise gets, it should never stray away from its original roots or try to broaden to different audiences? Two examples he presents is Scream 3 and Halloween Resurrection. The Scream franchise are supposed to be serious horror films complemented with meta humor. Scream 3 had the comedy take over the movie due to parents complaining, fearing that kids would become violent in real life. The movies after 3 have retained the original tone, and every fan is pleased with it. A Halloween Resurrection felt like a parody of the franchise to the point where many fans have defended the terrible sequels and the terrible Rob Zombie remake because they all at least honor the original tone. So when do you argue no matter how successful a popular franchise gets, it should never stray away from its original roots or try to broaden to different audiences?
Oh man, it depends on what their definition of and I don't mean Marcelino's definition of it. I mean like the person who's like trying to broaden the range of audiences. It depends on what their definition of it is. I think like for one example I can think of is definitely with Star Trek. There has definitely been some things with the new, like with the new Star Trek that a lot of fans really hate. Like for some fans, like the original, or not original, but like the specifically Star Trek at its prime, which I will say that prime Star Trek is definitely Next Gen through Voyager. That is like prime. We're essentially and I say it's prime because that's you had 3 different live action shows going on, and all of them, like 90% of all of them were good. Like obviously all 3 of them had episodes that weren't like the best, that weren't the most memorable, but it's incredible when you look at the quantity that they had between those 3 shows and the quality, the fact that you had both. So one thing I will say that is new about modern Star Trek, though, is that the effort in terms of making sure you had both a writing team to write out the story, and then you also had like another writing team to make sure that the science, like and everything, the sci-fi elements made a lot of sense to, some of their more nerdy fan base, and I mean in terms of like nerds that like actually like know their shit when it comes to science and all that kind of stuff. There was definitely a lot more of an effort in earlier Star Trek than you have in modern Star Trek. Personally, for me, while I do appreciated that original effort, it doesn't bother me personally, but I don't blame other fans when it does bother them. That is where I could see like trying to appease to a wider crowd can also stray from, what made Star Trek what it was. But the one thing that it has done that I will say that does actually, for me anyway, stray from the original vision of Star Trek, and it's something that I hope Paramount doesn't do anymore,
is when it comes to the shadier side of Starfleet. When they showed like Section 31, for example, in Deep Space Nine, they were never portrayed as a good thing or a necessary evil. They claimed they were a necessary evil, but the whole point of Deep Space Nine was proving that that was incorrect. They were not necessary. They were able to maintain peace. They were able to eventually gain peace with the Dominion, like without the help of Section 31. But in modern Star Trek, the way it was portrayed in Discovery, and especially in that really god-awful movie, do not watch Star Trek Section 31, even if you're a major fan. That is the one Star Trek media that I will say is god-awful, is Section 31, the movie. But yes, in Star Trek Discovery, I kind of feel like they lost the idea of Section 31 not actually being necessary, because even though they're not really portrayed in a good light, they're also now portrayed the way they thought they were supposed to be portrayed in Deep Space Nine, and that is that, oh yeah, what we do is terrible, and we hate that we have to do it, but it's necessary. And I think that is one area where modern Star Trek has definitely lost its way, trying to appeal to a wider audience, because us wider audiences, we want more depth. We want to have, like, we don't like the idea of like something just being perfect, something working all the way. But at the same time, I think that's also kind of the point with Star Trek specifically. It's the idea of, if we weren't so stupid fighting each other, we would have this utopian future. And I think when you try to legitimize something like Section 31, it kind of delegitimizes the point of Starfleet. So I would say that is one example I would say is how you should not appeal, and how it does stray away from the original vision of Star Trek. Sorry, that was a long answer.
Oh no, you're good. You're good. Yeah, no, Kiki and Luca, just a Star Trek, or maybe I think Star Trek comment.
Oh.
Yeah. I love the J.J. Abrams Star Trek movies, especially the first one. The opening sequence for Chris Hemsworth is amazing as George Kirk. It's actually probably one of my favorite openings of movies all time, if I'm being honest with you.
That was such a good opening.
It immediately locked me in for, oh shit, J.J. Abrams has Star Trek. Let's go, baby. Like, it truly is probably one of my favorite openings to a movie of all time. I absolutely love it. As far as answering the question, would you agree that no matter how successful a popular franchise gets, it should never stray away from its original roots or try to broaden to different audiences? You know, I think there's a lot of ability to stray away to general audiences and a lot of different IPs, but I think maybe the one genre where it does not benefit, and I would probably say never do it, probably slasher films, if I'm being honest. I think the fact that he brings up Halloween and Scream as examples are perfect examples, because I was just trying to think of like other horror movies that you would try and pull it off in, and I just don't think it works. I think that's probably one of the few genres of movies that you just do not touch, and you stick to the formula a little bit. I mean, even if I look at something like, I say slasher movies, but horror in general too, because I think you can look at something like Prey and Aliens, whereas I think Predator and Aliens, I think Predator has done a good job of broadening its audience appeal, but also doing it in the way that really continues to stay true, I think, to the source material. I look at things like Killer of Killers. I look at Prey. Those were two really great things. Even the idea of like the most recent Predator Badlands, I think even that becoming a little bit more Disney-fied and action-oriented kind of still works in the world of Predator a little bit. That might be like the widest range of like appealing to a broader audience that I really would like to see Predator go into, but that's probably like the extent of it. Like, I'm just a really big fan of, especially when it comes to like slasher type of films, or like alien horror type of movies. I am not a fan of like trying to make those characters the anti-hero, in the sense of making it a little bit grayer. Maybe they're doing the good thing, but but evil reasons, but they're trying to become a better person. Like, I'm not a fan of evil becoming anti-hero.
Yeah.
To make them turn into heroes a little bit. And maybe that's the route some people would say Predator's kind of taking with Badlands a little bit. You know, you look at something like Alien Earth. You know, even though we've got a rogue xenomorph on the loose, you know, he is killing people, but is really, you know, he's kind of like a pet now, you know, to somebody. So I do think like slasher films, just stick to what works, and let's not try and turn all of our villains into anti-heroes. So that's probably the only time I would say, let's stick to it. But other than that, I think you might be able to get away with it with other genres.
I think with the Predator franchise is such a perfect example, because like if they had done the type of character development we get for our protagonists in Into the Badlands, if they had done that with our Predator from, you know, the very first Predator movie, it would have been kind of lame. It's like, I don't want to see this Predator having a soft heart, but this or sorry, not what are they it starts with the Y. What is the race again called? I always forget. The Yautja?
Something like, I can't remember off the top of my head now.
But yeah, like I love the idea that because there's like, you know, a whole diverse, like, they're like an entire species, we can have like these diverse kind of versions of them. The one that are like kind of considered too weak for their kind, and so they have to go on this epic adventure to prove themselves. But then we can still get the terrifying kind, like from the first Predator movie, where it's just like, nope, I just want to hunt and I want to have a good time, kind of. Yeah, so I think that, it always definitely depends on the franchise. But yeah, like Marcelino bringing up Jason X, and I think you even brought up Friday the 13th earlier. It's like, no, if you try to make someone like Jason like an anti-hero, that just, you know, ruins the whole like character. It's like you could say that, yes, there might be a timeline where the two camp counselors weren't busy getting it on and actually were able to save Jason from drowning, and then that version of Jason doesn't grow up to be a psycho killer. But the thing is, what makes Jason what he is that because of two negligent counselors, suddenly that the consequences is you have this force of nature serial killer, you know.
Yeah, but let's now make a Jason movie where the villains are the camp counselor, and you start feeling for Jason Voorhees and him being bullied, and then you start thinking to yourself, I can understand why he's murdering so many people now. Like, really, he's not the bad guy in this story. The camp counselors are. He's just trying to rectify the injustices that were against him. So, like, things like that. Like, I don't want that. Like, I don't want or need that. You know, Marcelino says, you know, when I say original roots, I'm referring to comedic and serious tone, not necessarily turning bad guys into anti-heroes, but that kind of works the same way to me in the sense, like, I still look at Jason as a serious tone type of movie, but if we're going to try and take Jason and now turn him into an anti-hero, that is sort of departing from your original roots and trying to do something that you think might appeal to a more broader audience that kind of wants to reflect with Jason Voorhees and feel for his injustices and kind of, you know, like, I don't need that when it comes to my slasher film. So I do think it kind of works all in relation to what you're asking. But yeah. I get it.
I will say, if we're going with tone specifically, I swear this will be a lot shorter. Probably with comedies, you never want to turn those into serious movies. That would be what would kill it. Like if Scary Movie 6 was trying to go for horror, or if the next Spaceballs movie was like trying to be the next big epic sci-fi. That's where I think it's like, okay, yeah, no, that goes too far.
You know, I think one movie that does kind of pull that off really well, though, and I'm sure there might be some other ones out there, but Click from Adam Sandler, you know, one of those movies that turns as comedic, but then also expands into kind of a more serious tone or a more serious message, if you will, you know,
within the same movie. Then I think that can work. But if it was like, but it's like if you do like a sequel to a comedy, but then the sequel is like suddenly like this drama, then it's like, what are you doing?
I get you. He also says people say that Jason X, where Jason goes into space, is the second best Friday the 13th movie because it's so bad it's good. Yeah, we have those moments. He also says 28 years later, part 3 is going into production soon, and with Jim returning and rumors that Selena and Hannah will also return. But there's one thing missing, and that's Tammy and Andy, played by, I'm not going to even try to pronounce their names, respectively, from 28 weeks later. Their characters were shown to be a potential cure for the virus since they were bitten by the zombies and never returned. So why is there no word on the actors returning? You might be able to find this answer online. Honestly, I think that this has kind of been addressed before by either Alex Garland or Danny Boyle a little bit. To them, I believe 28 weeks later is still canonical. But I think by the way that they've addressed it when it comes to 28 years later is the idea that the rest of the mainland, I would assume, has maybe taken that cure or whatever and pushed the zombies back. Like the because I think 28 weeks later we see that it's starting to spread outside of just the UK. And I believe 28 years later implies that maybe the cure of what they had 20 weeks later has helped them push things back, but they're still very much kind of just secluding off of the island that is the UK and keeping it from the general population and now kind of quarantining it. So I do think from a canonical standpoint, it still kind of makes sense, but I just don't think that they are willing to bring back those characters. Although it would be interesting to ask questions like, why do they just want to seclude off the UK? If they had a cure for it, why didn't they still try and cure the people on UK? Is Cillian Murphy's character, is he aware of maybe what happened on the UK? Like I would be interested to see if when we get to the third one, if maybe hints of explaining a little bit more of 20 weeks later and its impact on this trilogy will kind of be explored a little bit more. And I only say that because Cillian Murphy's character seems really bright. He seems like he's like even teaching his daughter about the world and history and things like that. So I do wonder if he knows more about what's happened on the outside of the world and can kind of fill in us as viewers in regards to what happened necessarily with the cure. So I don't know if I don't expect those actors to certainly return, because I do feel like they've kind of already addressed the 28 weeks later situation. But I'm not going to lie, Stuart, I would like to see it explored a little bit. But if it seems like they just want to keep their hands off of that, recognize it has a place in canon, but they're one in telling a completely different story here.
Yeah. Yeah, I think pretty much mostly like, yeah, what you said in sense of like, I think they consider it canon, but it's also not their story, so they don't feel like continuing where it left off. So I guess you could say that, you know, maybe something happened to the two kids after the end of weeks later and it happened off screen. But yeah, I personally don't really need them to address it, because I'm cool with them just sticking with the years later, you know, storyline, because I'm super hooked.
And we clearly seemingly have, you know, in regards to cures, 28 years later, Bone Temple definitely dives into that concept a little bit. So how that'll be explored. I mean, maybe because of the fact that 28 years later now has that topic on its mind going into the third one, maybe they will bring up the potential cure from 28 weeks later, and maybe the differences, the strength of it all type of thing, you know, like I could see that kind of playing into the bigger picture of things, but we'll see. You said, and then lastly, he says, you said that the reason that Legends changed its tone from a serious super show to comedy is perhaps because of the budget. I got to be honest, though, whenever I hear that, I get so annoyed, because I have seen tons of sci-fi writers be given similar low budgets and reply, you know, I don't care how low our budget is, it won't stop us from telling the story that we want to tell. Shows like The 100 or Babylon 5, Stargate, Farscape, and many similar low budgets, but the writers never gave up or caved in because they were passionate about the art that they were making. Especially for Babylon 5's case, their budget was about $650,000 until the final season, which $900,000, while Legends had a lot more to work with. It's quite insulting to see writers give up because of the budget when other writers from other shows remain persistent. Also, I just can't wrap my head around the idea of Legends becoming more comedic due to budget, because they use CGI monsters, expensive props, and makeup that would equivalent to the same kind of money that they would use for a superhero action. So a part of me always feels like it's more of the writer's choice for the show to be comedic because they wanted that rather than because they had a smaller budget.
Yeah, that's very possible too. Last time we were talking about this, like I brought up the interview with Katie Lotz, and I believe it was from Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum, and she was mentioning like the idea that like the first 2 seasons didn't really have a showrunner. I mean, technically the show did on paper have a showrunner, but like no one was like as directly involved with it as they got in later seasons. So it may not have been as much of a budget thing. That might have been just like the conclusion that I came up with, because like to me the show looked a lot cheaper after season 2. But it could have also just been because like maybe someone else kind of like came into the show, a new writer who did actually see like a direction that they wanted to take the show, something that could utilize, because I feel like Legends was a show they didn't know what type of show they wanted to be in the beginning. Like it very much feels like kind of early 90s television, in the sense that like they're still trying to find their footing in the first 2 seasons. And so I think that after that, during season 3, that was when like probably either the writers kind of came to a conclusion of, oh, this would work better if we did it this way, or if they just had a new showrunner that had more control over the show compared to the previous showrunner, who just like apparently, according to Katie Locks, had like very little involvement in the show as a whole. So it could just be that they just found new direction that worked better with the characters that they had. But yeah, they needed a couple of seasons to figure out like what worked best in there, for the writers of the show, I guess.
Jessica Fryman with some questions. Do you think My Adventures of Superman will get a 4th and maybe 5th season? And do you think one of them could have Superman finally meet Batman and the rest of the future Justice League? Didn't season 3 just drop?
I don't know if it's out yet, but the trailers for season 3 just dropped. I see the show going on for at least 5 seasons personally. Whether or not Superman will meet Batman and other Justice League members, I would say Batman, maybe the last season is when he'll make his appearance. Other Justice League members, I'm pretty sure we're going to get Martian Manhunter in like the next couple of seasons. I kind of hope we get Aquaman. I mean, there's been so many like name drops for Atlantis, so I would expect some other Justice League characters to show up in this series eventually. But I don't know if we'll get Batman specifically until like the very end of it.
I will be interested to see if we do get a 4th and 5th season. Like, I think if anything, I think we've kind of talked a little bit about this before the past, that the merger between Paramount and Warner Brothers.
Right, I keep forgetting about that.
Yeah, if that kind of comes into play, who knows where a 4th and 5th season may be in development. Like if anything, My Adventures with Superman, if it is currently in development, I can see that definitely happening regardless of a merger. But it wouldn't surprise me if that ends up being like the final season. So I think a lot of that really is going to be dependent on this merger.
Yeah.
Peg C, what's up, Peg C? I recently rewatched the 1996 live action 101 Dalmatians and its 2000 sequel 102 Dalmatians. I noticed how drastically the first film updated the characters for the 90s, changing Roger from a pipe smoking jazz musician named Radcliffe to a successful video game creator named Dearly. Also, instead of Anita being an old schoolmate who was completely oblivious to Cruella's sinister intentions, she is Cruella's top fashion designer who actually suspects her first and uncovers the truth. What are your thoughts on these massive character and occupation changes compared to the 1961 animated classic? And overall, what did you think of both of those live action movies? I don't think I've seen any of them, to be honest with you. I think I've seen just the animated one. I don't think I've seen any of the live action stuff, though.
I remember I was a big fan of it, or I at least really liked the second one. Yeah, I think it was the second one. I really liked that one as a kid. But I barely remember the first movie, if I'm being honest. I think because the second one I actually remember seeing in theaters. I think that one is more memorable to me than the first live action movie. But I remember enjoying both of them just fine.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the occupation changes just make sense for the time period in which they were in. I don't know if, I don't know how well a pipe smoking jazz musician in the late 90s would have certainly have worked, but I don't mind the changes, especially if it's just based off of the time period that you're in now. Since Streets of Rage movie is currently in the works, I honestly don't know how they're going to pull off a classic side scroller beat 'em up on the big screen. It makes me wonder about other fighting gems from that era. Do you think a game like Def Jam Vendetta could successfully translate into a movie today, or is that concept best left in the gaming world? How would you even pitch a Def Jam film? Oh my God. Def Jam Vendetta, huh? I want to say I did play this game at first. Dude, that would be pretty fucking dope. I'm not gonna lie. I actually think a Def Jam Vendetta could probably be pulled off because it's just if I'm not mistaken, I think it's just a wrestling fighting game. It doesn't necessarily have to be wrestling. Although, you know what? It would be pretty legit if they turn this into like an underground wrestling sort of movie. Like I don't want to say backyard wrestling, but just like a smaller urban city sort of wrestling promotion. I would actually kind of be down for that, like a gang war that settles its issues in the ring, bro. Like I kind of legit would really kind of go for that. I don't know how the pitch would work in the mean streets of Baltimore, Maryland, you know, like where The Wire took place. You know, you just build off of that.
I do love that concept though. Okay, hear me out. Very similar to kind of the final act of Barbie with the Kens. I do love the idea of two rival gangs settling things through backyard wrestling. So basically men settling their differences by play fighting. I love that idea for a movie.
I mean, you know, you can pitch this as let's put our guns down and let's get back to being men. You know, meet me in the streets or meet me in the ring, dog. Like let's go fisticuffs in the ring.
Like it starts out as like a heated rivalry at first, but then they kind of discover this is actually kind of fun and people enjoy watching us.
Yo, I would definitely love to see it, man. I would love to see it. The Def Jam Vendetta, that's crazy. It's a crazy pitch, but I think Streets of Rage could really work. You need great music. You're definitely gonna need great fight choreographers for sure. But if you can come up with a legit story, I think you could. Like if we could pitch Def Jam Vendetta like this quickly, I'm sure somebody's got themselves a great Streets of Rage movie in their bag for sure.
Definitely. I will be right back. Sorry.
No problem. Do you know that some major Hollywood creators have secret 90s hip hop pasts? Before he became a famous Hollywood director and Leica CEO, Travis Knight was a 90s rapper who went by the name Chili T. Similarly, before his acting career starring in Hawaii Five-0, Ocean's 11, and Varsity Blues, Scott Kahn's early rap career went under the name Mad Skills. In the 1990s, he formed a hip-hop duo named the Hooligans with his childhood friend Alan Mamon, who is now known as the legendary hip-hop producer The Alchemist. That's crazy. What are your thoughts on Travis Knight and Scott Kahn's early rap careers? That's pretty cool, man. That kind of reminds me of what's his name now? The guy from Mark Wahlberg, right? He got his first start in the early 90s also. That's pretty cool. I'm trying to remember how old Travis Knight is though. I mean, he talks about watching He-Man back in the 80s as a kid, so I am kind of curious as to how old he is. Maybe he was like in his late teens, early 20s by the time he got to maybe late teens by the time he got to 90s. So like I don't know if he had a legit rap career or not, but like, you know, doing just some underground sort of small mixtapes here and there as Chili T as a kid. Like I could legit kind of see that. But that's cool. At least, you know, it's cool that they got some cool writing skills. Probably helps them, rapping skills probably helps them with their writing skills, if I'm being honest, in regards to, I don't want to say that they're wordsmiths or anything like that, but just being able to utilize their words properly and, create something is pretty crazy to me. Keegan Lucas says Travis Knight's dad founded Nike. You know, I had been hearing reports that he actually comes from a pretty rich family. I had no idea, but he's definitely made a name for himself, honestly. My friends call me Joseph. According to reports from Variety, okay, so you do bring up the 24-year franchise. By turning the scrap Men in Black crossover concept into a meta running gag about its own decade-long development delay, the film looks to once again subvert typical Hollywood tropes. Do you think skipping straight to a fourth movie title will help the franchise recapture that rare meta comedic magic that made the first two films such a massive success? I do. I think there's a really cool like gag to the title change or the jump into 24 Jump Street. I think people that watch it will definitely have questions or ask themselves like, why did we even get to 24? Like, it wouldn't even surprise me if in 24 Jump Street that they even acknowledge this. I could see them acknowledging it as sort of like the meta running gag. I can see them easily acknowledging it. So I think it'll work. I think it'll work. I think people will have fun with it. Marky Parko, what do you think of Paris Jackson's pushback against the recent Michael biopic has sparked significant debate, especially since she based her negative critique on an early rough cut rather than the record-shattering product that hits theaters. Critics find her resistance ironic, given that she wasn't even alive during the historical events depicted, and because her protective stance over her father's legacy contrasts sharply with her own heavily publicized teen struggles with addiction. This defensive family dynamic heavily mirrors her past public scandals, such as when her grandmother Catherine openly disapproved of her behavior while dating her former boyfriend Michael Snoddy. Do you think Paris is justified in demanding raw honesty about her family's history, or is it hypocritical to critique a film for protecting the legacy she also pushed back against? To be fair, I'm not too familiar with Paris Jackson's comments, although I thought she has since then come out with another statement or reiterated her original comments. I don't know if it was to kind of soften the blow or as like a more positive outlook or try to get people to understand her perspective. I can't remember. Do not quote me on that, but I thought I saw that she had come out and kind of addressed it a little bit to maybe put a Band-Aid on some of her statements, but I could be wrong. So again, I have not necessarily seen, I've heard of the idea that she was having pushback against the recent Michael movie, but I don't necessarily know everything that she said. I don't really keep up with the Jackson family after the death of Michael and the kids. So, I don't know what type of teen struggles when it comes to addiction that she had or past public scandals. But, I got to assume that's somebody that has been through those things, especially being in the spotlight sort of like your whole life or being, tried to be secluded away from it. She probably, especially if she's got addictions or she's got struggles, I'm sure she sees a side of the Jackson family that the public probably doesn't. And I think there might be some animosity there, maybe some resentment, maybe the way that she's kind of been treated or handled with those struggles kind of being a little bit more public. So, maybe it's easy for her to want to have that honesty of what her family is like exposed because she maybe feels wronged by them in some way, shape, or form. So I can understand her having wanting, coming to that mindset a little bit of wanting to demand raw honesty about her family because she probably sees a more honest side to them than other people do. So I don't front her for wanting that. I don't know if it's hypocritical to critique a film for protecting the legacy she also kind of pushed back against. I'm sure she's probably talented and creative in her own right. I don't know. Does she make music? So I thought maybe Paris makes music, but maybe I'm wrong. So I don't want to say she benefited off of being a Jackson, but I'm sure something has probably have had to help. But so I am kind of curious as to I'll have to look up her pushback against the Michael biopic though. If it was towards an early rough cut, I am kind of curious as to how she feels about the final product that was released instead. If she feels it's a little bit more appropriate or not. I'll dive a little bit more into this Paris Jackson stuff, but I don't have a problem with her justifying demanding a more raw honesty from her family. I would be just kind of curious to see how the Jackson family even helped raise her. If I'm being honest, You know, did they keep her away from the truth also? I really have no idea, but we'll see. Shout out real quick to Fede Jin. Appreciate you coming through, Fede. I'll get to your comments here in just a little bit. Kiki and Luca also said Janet was also against the movie as well. Yeah, she was. Her, Diana Ross, even though Diana Ross is not a family member, but Janet definitely was against it as well. I do wonder if this is early rough cuts that we're kind of talking about here, though, until the movie itself kind of released. I mean, look, I see Janet on tour right now. So there's a part of me that's just like, I feel like she's almost benefiting also from the release of this movie, you know, being a Jackson on tour during the Michael biopic that's currently out in theaters right now, right? Like, you may not have wanted to be in the movie, but don't tell me you're not benefiting off of the success of your brother being back in the spotlight like that. You know what I mean? Probably selling more tickets because of that movie being out there. Like, oh, Janet Jackson's touring. Let's go see her. Not to say that Janet Jackson was reliable on her brother for everything. I mean, she was a woman of the 90s for sure in regards to, you know, carving out her own path. Like Whitney Houston and Janet Jackson are probably like the two most memorable female artists of our 90s. So at least for me, that grew up in an R&B and hip hop sort of, you know, classical soul household. Man, Janet Jackson was everywhere in the 90s for me. So she's definitely doing very fine on her own, but I'm sure everybody has their own reasons for being against the film. Pete Pegsy says Stewart missed. What are his thoughts on Travis Knight and Scott Kahn's early rap careers? Did you know they had a rap career, Stewart? I think you're muted.
Yeah. I had no idea they had a rap career. I guess no opinion on that then.
Yeah, they called themselves where did it go? I just had it here. Oh, Travis Knight called himself Chili T back in the 90s. Hawaii 5-0, Ocean's 11, and Varsity Blues. Scott Kahn called himself Mad Skills. In case you didn't know. Let's see here. What else we got? Blossom. Do you remember the Super Sentai handoffs? After each season ends, the Red Ranger of that season metaphorically passes the torch to the next one. Shame Power Rangers never did that, huh? Oh, yeah, I agree. I agree. I love the handoff. I really would have loved to have seen that handoff too, but I think it doesn't happen because of the fact that a lot of these shows for a long time were really like their own canon and not really ever kind of created to feel like they're interconnected with each other. So I mean that's probably why they maybe didn't go that route.
I mean, it feels like, well, for the the post Zordon era, I don't know, maybe these additions were added last minute, but it kind of feels like they were always meant to be connected.
Well, I will say the early Saban seasons, yes, but I think once we start getting to some of the Disney stuff, to me, it always felt like some of the Disney stuff at some point in time just decided we're just going to make our own. Each Power Ranger series is going to be one in and of itself sort of thing. Maybe connected in some way in the sense of like, oh, they were aware of the MMPR Rangers, but never really acknowledged kind of one another sometimes. At least that's what it always kind of felt like to me, which is why I fell off of Power Rangers for a little bit. But yeah,
definitely how it felt with Ninja Storm, because I think like Ninja Storm was definitely the season where they referenced Power Rangers, but they never specify any team. In fact, there's even questioning, like in the first episode when they first mentioned, oh yeah, just like the Power Rangers. Someone else is like, wait, are the Power Rangers even real?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do wish Power Rangers actually did the handoff. How does the multiverse and Power Rangers work again? Asking this because I'm still thinking of using this for our take on superhero Senkai.
Well, as of now, there's the Prime universe, there's the Dino Charge universe, the RPM universe, and then the Boom Comics universe, which actually that in itself has a whole multiverse because like a lot of the new Boom Comics are in their own separate universes. But for talking live action shows, those are the three primary universes. And then the MMPR movie from 95, which is also in its own separate universe. From what I remember, they have those remotes that let them travel from one dimension to another, but doing that destabilizes the morphing grid, so they tried to do it as sparingly as possible. But Dino Charge and RPM, I guess RPM, it's implied to be an offshoot of the original universe, because we do get some cameos in RPM from like Jungle Karma Pizza, and then we also see a destroyed like Red Ranger helmet from Operation Overdrive. So maybe it's like an offshoot of the Prime universe. But yeah, I look at it as Prime, RPM, and Dino Charge.
I just want to jump back over to Fita here. Is the chimp pet shown on Michael's movie? So cool that Michael had it. Yeah, I think it was Bubbles. I believe there's chimpanzee Bubbles. Yeah, he's in the movie.
Which they named the chimp in Dragon Ball Z, King Kai's chimp. They named him after Bubbles as well.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. I didn't know that. That's badass. Alex, what were some of the rumors or leaks you found regarding the upcoming Spider-Man Brand New Day? What were some of the rumors or leaks you found regarding the upcoming Spider-Man Brand New Day? I heard that multiple versions of the ending were shot to prevent massive potential spoilers, such as Peter Parker revealing to MJ that he's Spider-Man and that they used to be a couple before the mass memory wipe. First off, I think that would be a brilliant idea to film multiple endings just in case. Although I am starting to hear that something is leaked from this movie, that clips are leaking from Spider-Man Brand New Day currently as of yesterday. I don't know if that's true or not, or if Marvel has tapped that down already and gotten rid of that stuff. But I am hearing Brand New Day leaks are happening. As far as like what are some of the leaks or rumors that you found regarding, I haven't looked for them. I don't really, the only big rumor that I know is like her as Jean Grey.
Yeah.
But you know, that's really it. I know some of the toys that are now kind of being released in regards to toy marketing, they might be revealing some stuff also, but I'm really trying to avoid any rumors and leaks at this point in time, Alex. Like I literally got what a month left before this movie drops. Like I'm blinders up right now, bro. Blinders up. I'm trying to avoid everything.
Yeah, I'm definitely the same way. I don't know of any other leaks or rumors. The only ones I mean, I know of some rumors. The rumors of what's her face from Stranger Things being Jean Grey, and then the idea that like Spider-Man breaks Daredevil out of prison to fight the Hand. Those are the two rumors that I've heard.
Feta says Daredevil must be in it. We'll see. I have no idea. I do want to go back to Feta real quick. Oh, this started 2 hours ago. I'll check missed content when archived. Big Masters of the Universe supported here via theater screening. 4 times, it looks like. Action figures pack that brought from Amazon also. Yeah, I don't have many of them yet, but we'll be getting more this year. I wish Amazon would have released it to keep the budget 130 million and put the movie out 1.5, not 5.6. I'm not quite sure what that means, but yeah, I'm glad you had the opportunity to see Masters of the Universe. Seems like multiple times here. I would like to try and see it again for the second time at least. Hopefully sometime this week, either Monday or Tuesday. I'm hoping to try and get back out to the theater because I am a big fan and big supporter around here. Does anyone know if they managed to get that budget decrease because filmed in the UK? It applies to many movies done there. If so, it has at least a 25% cut. I would think that what's being announced is maybe with some of the tax write-off already from the UK, but I could be wrong. Feta, don't necessarily quote me on that. All right, back to the questions here. Jake, despite actor Rob Schneider undergoing a stark personality shift defined by intense political commentary and sudden fitness transformation, his longtime collaborator Adam Sandler remains completely unfazed by the public backlash. Sandler has openly stated that he looks past the socioeconomic politics, which reportedly contributed to Snyder's recent divorce, and treats his alum like a brother from another mother. Their endured bond is proven by Sandler calling to check in on him every week for over 30 years, solidifying an unshakable Hollywood friendship that transcends shifting public opinions. What do you think of Rob Schneider himself and Adam Sandler still protecting his friendship? I've definitely have grown sour over Rob Schneider's career over the long term. You know, we kind of talked a little bit about him before too, like maybe last week or the week before. I saw him perform at like a MAGA event, and God,
That's right.
it was just awful. It's just an awful presentation on his part. Look, I people protecting their friends that are clearly MAGA and Trump supporters. I am never one to tell somebody to kick somebody out of your life or friendship over it. It's so funny. I was just literally just watching an interview with Seth Rogen, and somebody had asked him about James Franco. And he really, he was really adamant about the idea that like, no, I've cut off our friendship. Like, we have not spoken. We have not worked together, sort of thing. Right. Like, those are definitely different than Rob Schneider and Adam Sandler's situation, clearly. But Stuart, there was once a time when people lived amongst each other, and the two things that they never talked about was religion and politics, and they got along just fine, and maybe that's the same case with Adam Sandler and Rob here. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if Adam just despised and did not like Rob Schneider's political commentary, and maybe those two never talk about it. Or maybe they do talk about it, but they've got such mutual friendship and relationship with one another that despite having disagreements, they can still kind of get along in other ways. I don't know what Adam and Rob talk about. If Adam disagrees with Rob on something political, I would hope that Adam Sandler would push back against Rob, even though he knows he may not be able to change who he is. If they can have fundamentally different political differences but still be able to talk peacefully about them and have disagreements and still be friends because they find the commonality amongst themselves still, then more power to them. So I don't got a problem with Adam Sandler still being friends with Rob, as much as I despise what Rob Schneider has definitely become, but I'm not close to him like that. That, like, I could see that legit being hard to just disregard somebody from your life after such a long period of time. So I don't have a problem that Adam still is friends with Rob at all. That's his decision, his alone.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I'm kind of glad that I am not really in that position at the moment. Like, I don't know anyone in my life currently who is like, MAGA or anything. And I think that what's weird is that if this were 2016, I think I could actually be a lot more forgiving if I had like a friend that was like kind of full on MAGA and all that. But I think it's just like with everything that's happened, like ever since like he got back into office, it's like if someone is still on board with him, it's just like, I don't know if I want to associate with you. I'm not going to judge Adam Sandler for still associating with him, because it's not like Adam Sandler's IRL personality is what draws me to his movies. It's, his, charisma that he brings into the movies themselves. So it's like finding him, still wanting to be friends with Rob Schneider, despite their possible, I don't know Adam Sandler's political views, so despite their possible differences in political views, it's not something I'm going to judge him on. I don't care one way or another when it comes to Adam Sandler. It's just, for me personally, I don't think I could be friends with someone who was who's still currently MAGA. Like, if you tell me that you were MAGA, that you voted for Trump back in 2016, I believe in forgiveness. I believe in redemption. And not to mention, a lot of people voted for him in 2016 because he's an incredible liar, basically. So I could see someone having a blind eye in certain things that he said because he said other things that sounded great. But this is not 2016 anymore, and actions speak a lot louder than words. And Trump's actions, if those actions have not shown you the red flags that most of us saw back in 2016, then yeah, I don't want anything to do with you.
Yeah, no, I know. I echo those sentiments. Nathaniel, what's up, Nathaniel? Both that 90s show and Girl Meets World face heavy fan criticism for watering down the mature themes of the original series and relying on new characters who felt simplified carbon copies of beloved predecessors. Specifically, viewers found it jarring that both sequels immediately rushed their teenage leads, Leah and Riley, into intense romantic storylines, contrasting with the slow burn friendship first dynamics that made that 70s show and Boy Meets World so successful. This trend mirrors the early failure of introducing Randy in that 70s show final season, highlighting how difficult it is for television spin-offs to successfully replicate the organic chemistry and pacing of the original cast. Why do you think television writers so often struggle to capture the magic of the original ensembles when creating sequels and spin-offs? One, I do think the dynamic of just storytelling is drastically changed. I think the attention spans for people are certainly a lot shorter. And I do think there is a level of watering down the concepts that you have. I don't know if writers, some shows, definitely do. But I mean, if we're talking about reviving sitcoms, I think they just feel probably simple is better. I don't know if they want to tackle those. I just think things in the 90s were a little bit, I think, more bold to tackle those type of topics as learning lessons. Whereas now, I think if you try and pull that off, you would try to be called woke or being talked down to in that regards. Whereas I just think the time periods is just so different, so when you're trying to reboot something that might have been popular in the 90s and the early 2000s, you really have to approach it with a different lens. And I think that's one of the reasons why I'm kind of looking forward to the Netflix is A Different World. Like Different World never shied away from talking about societal issues or things that really impacted kind of the Black community and the world in general. So I am kind of curious if they are not going to be fearful either when we get into a remake, or if it's just going to dumb things down due to attention spans and how people might perceive having just some of these topics just discussed in general. So I think that's probably why they kind of struggle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's like a mixture of that, a mixture of the fact that like I feel like now, okay, I think what was the first example on that, which was Girl Meets World.
Girls Meets World.
Yeah, I haven't watched that show, so I can't speak for it specifically. So in fact, I think it actually might be the exception to what I'm about to say with that 90s show. But I think with that 90s show specifically, they had less episodes per season. And with Netflix, that 70s show, I think like after the first season, it was renewed for several seasons. Like there was like a 3-4 year contract or something like that. Whereas Netflix doesn't do that. They do it one season at a time. So I think that in a lot of ways, writers nowadays are like writing a show with the idea in the back of their head that this could be the last thing that we write for the show. Like they could be getting canceled after this season. So I think they just throw everything. I think they just threw everything in the first 3 seasons of that 90s show. And I think that's why it felt very rushed compared to that 70s show where, that had 6 seasons. The writers knew they were going to be writing for a while. Actually, wait, no, I think it had 8 seasons, right? I forgot. But regardless, the writers knew they had job security, so they knew they could take their times with certain elements that they kind of rushed in that 90s show because they weren't sure how long the show was going to last. That's my guess on why there's like that big difference in how things are paced between the two shows.
Pexi also adds his thoughts. It says, that's what I miss about sitcoms in general. They leaned on talking about topics. Yeah, nowadays they just don't really do that too much, unfortunately. Feta, okay, cool. Hope the tax cuts apply to Masters of the Universe because they filmed in UK. Yeah, I think a lot of the filming in UK gets some level of tax cuts also. There's certain places that you film in that you certainly get it. And just so you know, Feta, yeah, we usually start live our show. I know you talked about that you were 2 hours late. We usually start our show live every Sunday at 12 p.m. Central Time, so noon Central Time. So that's 1 p.m. Eastern Time, and then what's that? 10 a.m. Pacific Time. Just so you know. Let's see here. We got Kenneth. What's up, Kenneth? Two questions for the two of you. Is it me, or is the music industry undergoing a massive shift as digital production software and advances synthesize largely replace traditional physical instruments, making computer generated tracks virtually indistinguishable from live performances to the average listener? While the dedicated segment of artists still plays physical instruments, the vast majority now rely on computers and DJ equipment to construct their music, mirroring the way digital streaming previously overtook physical media. Given how flawlessly digital software can now replicate traditional sounds, do you think the soul of music is being lost, or is it just the natural evolution of human creativity? This is very similar to the ridiculous wave of AI.
I think that when it comes to recreating music electronically, nothing wrong with that. I still think that there's definitely, you have like the artist that just, kind of like Miracle Sound is probably one of the even though I think he does all the instruments himself, he's not really a band. He just basically records all of his music with all the instruments on his own. And I think that's like a way in which I think digital music is like amazing, is like, especially when it comes to, you might be an artist that doesn't own all the instruments, but you know how to play them, you know how to work them. And so you want to make your own music using kind of like digital sound effects. Like, I think that's when it is perfect. What I hate though, because, obviously AI, we do have to address that. That is definitely an issue that a lot of people are going to have in the future going forward. Especially like artists that, still do their own music and now are having to compete with people that literally put in like a simple prompt of, hey, make a song about this and have this tone, something that literally anyone can do. And then, now just like kind of like depending on the time you upload it, the right thumbnail, the right tags you give it, that could be the next really big trending thing. So it's a very frustrating situation in that area. I don't think that it's going to kill out the music industry. Because no matter what, at the end of the day, concerts still sell.
Yes.
People still want to see music live. So just because I think there's this huge, rise in digital music, electronic music, and all that, I don't think it's going to replace, traditional music and traditional instruments. Because I think that at the end of the day, even if the sound quality sounds incredible on digital, it doesn't give you that same feeling you get when you listen to music live. When you see the artist like on stage, just out there giving it your all, that is a feeling that like listening to any album, even vinyls, which I love the sound quality of vinyls, that's never going to recreate. That's never going to give me the same feeling I get seeing music live. So I don't think it'll be replacing anything, but it will. There is definitely that frustration of it making it a lot harder for artists out there.
Yeah, I echo your sentiments. My pushback was going to be the idea of like people still got to go on tours, and people still got to do live music, and that's where the live performances and instruments will certainly always kind of come back into play. So yeah, I don't think it'll hurt the music genre too much. What do you think of the Final Destination Bloodlines using a surprising 1968 prologue to transition into a modern story about a college girl and a chilling family secret rather than sticking to the franchise's traditional group of friends or stranger formula? This narrative shift cleverly mirrored the twist in Final Destination 5, which secretly served as a prequel by placing its survivors on the flight 180. By reversing the dynamic and having the protagonist seek out William Bloodworth rather than him being the one to the film finally unveiled his tragic backstory and connection to the 1960s survivor Iris. But do you find this lore-heavy approach more satisfying than the classic standalone disaster format? As somebody who only watched maybe like the first 2 or 3 Final Destination movies and then I just kind of fell off, I'm not gonna lie, the Bloodlines lore-heavy approach sold me, dude. It sold me. I love the prologue transition into modern story. I am a sucker for lore and mythology and world building sort of thing. And I think that, to me, that's what Bloodlines did really well. And I think probably why it ended up being as successful in regards to like critical and like audience response, To me, it really worked, Stuart. I don't know how you feel about it. I mean, because it still kind of felt like it kept part of the classic standalone disaster aspects, but it also added the lore building behind it, and I think that addition kind of even worked a little bit more for me personally. But I don't know about you.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. I think because like with all the Final Destination movies, the twist until not the most recent one, not Bloodlines, but the one before it, until the one that was a prequel, like none of them had a twist that really like hooked me, that made me go, oh, I didn't see that coming. The twist was always just like, oh, they thought they survived, but they didn't. And it wasn't until they did the prequel where it was like, oh, this is leading into the flight from the first movie. That was the first twist where I'm like, okay, that was really cool. So when it came to Bloodlines, it's like if they wanted to keep me hooked, they had to give me something, new or something like, bigger. And I think this one did both. Like it gave us a really big opening that also like added so much lore into the franchise as a whole. And then finally explained Tony Todd's character, something that, fans had been wondering about for like, for so long. Like everyone kept wondering, wait, is he an agent of death? Is he death himself? Why does he know all this stuff? And we finally get that origin. And I thought that was actually really cool, especially with it being his last Final Destination movie. So yeah, I think like what they did with the last movie was great. Kept me intrigued the entire time. Plus, I love seeing Breck Bassinger because I loved her in Stargirl, but she doesn't really do much. At least I haven't seen her in much.
The Breck cameo, I was just like, yes, like I'm so glad she's getting opportunities because I really did love her in Stargirl. I thought she was a really great performer. So more Breck Basinger for sure. Yeah. Going from Tony Todd to Tony Robinson here, do you think it's time for Hasbro to start dropping some Power Ranger news to make people who don't know to be aware it's coming? I honestly don't need any Power Ranger news until filming begins. Like I don't want any Power Ranger news right now, dude. Like I've had so many starts and stops and rumors, and this is casting, but we're not casting yet. This name has been dropped, but this person's really not attached. No, I don't need any of that. The next Power Ranger news I need to hear is here is a first like look exclusive from the set as production has officially begun. That's all I need to see. I just need to know that it's in front of cameras and have begun, and then they can fill in the blanks as filming continues with casting announcements and any other information they want to drop. But as of right now, no, I don't need any new Power Ranger news until filming begins, and then that's when, as Anakin Skywalker says, the fun begins. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like, because of all the times we've had these projects announced and then canceled, it's like, you know what, don't give me anything official until, they're behind the cameras and they're saying action. In that case, that's when I want like at least like a logo or something. What I hope they don't do, though, as much as I don't want them to rush the marketing, I also don't want them to be too patient on the marketing. I don't want to find leaks of the costumes before we actually get a first official look of the costume. So if that means you have to release that early to make sure no one gets any leaked photos out there, just do it. James Gunn does it. I think that's a great strategy because I think that if a photo of a suit gets leaked, that's going to look a lot poorer on the overall like audience reception of it than if you actually show like an official photo. Show us what it's supposed to look like behind the cameras, that kind of stuff.
He also says, since some people are mixed on certain movies that drop this month, do you think the back end of the year will be better? I tend to think the back year usually is the better half of the year. I think just because we tend to get a lot more Oscar-nominated films that tend to drop. Summer blockbuster year is always fun, and we still have a couple other ones still to come. Spider-Man, Supergirl. We even have Clayface later on this year. Not a summer blockbuster, but some interesting ones to certainly say the least. Look, this year, first half, we've had Disclosure Day. We've had Obsession, which people are raving about. Backrooms, the lukewarm Mandalorian named Grogu. What else have we had? Let me pull up past year. Let's see. What else have we had this year? Mortal Kombat 2. Michael was great. Super Mario Galaxy movie. All right. They Will Kill You pretty fun movie. Ready or Not 2, pretty fun movie. We also had Project Hail Mary that wind up dropping. Undertone, a little underwhelming for me. We had The Bride, kind of underwhelming too, for sure. Crime 101, underrated if you guys haven't had the opportunity to see that. Primate, that kicked us off. Interesting beginning to the first half of the year. Send Help, the Sam Raimi movie, not a bad one also. Yeah, those are just some to name the beginning half of the movie. So maybe not like blockbuster-esque, but I think some solid, decent entries into it. But I do think the tail end of 2026 will probably end up being a little bit better, Stuart.
I think so too. But yeah, I think we've had an all right year so far, and I do like the attention that kind of the smaller budget or the smaller projects are getting this year. I mean, like the one that still kind of blew my mind because there was like no trailers for it, there was no marketing for it, and yet it still sold out almost every theater, and that was Iron Lung by Markiplier. You know, it was it was a movie that he made by himself, like using his own money, his own studio that he rented. You know, all that stuff. And because of that, the marketing was not that good for it, but he had enough of a fan base to where it's like the moment he was able to get into some theaters, it sold out and he had to start asking more theaters to play his movie because so that way more people could see it. So I think it's like success stories like that. That's what I'm going to remember about 2026. And I hope we get to see more in the future. But as we talked about earlier on the podcast today, knowing Hollywood, they're going to find a way to take the wrong message from this.
Yeah, you might be right. He says Transformers has been seen to be the only big robot movie that gets the real audience attention. Could Voltron and Gundam get their interest, or will they feel like the properties are knockoffs of Transformers? I'm going to say no to Voltron just because, I mean, that shit's going straight to streaming already. So I don't really know how popular it can end up being. I mean, who knows? I hear good things about the movie itself. Maybe a little bit more kid friendly than people expected, though. So I don't expect Voltron to overtake Transformers. Gundam will be an interesting one. I really don't know what Gundam plans on being. You know, I thought they had potential with Pacific Rim, but the second one didn't really do too well. They tried to do an animated series for that. That wasn't necessarily too well received. So maybe they do look at them as kind of like Transformers ripoffs. But I don't know. I think Gundam is still a wild card right now. They got Noah Centineo, who's going to be playing Ken Masters in Street Fighter. He's going to be in the movie. And then Sydney Sweeney, who's going to be in the film also. I don't know. I don't know if any other big robot movie will ever surpass Transformers, unfortunately, as IP.
Yeah, I don't think so, but like I do think Gundam, while it probably won't do like Transformers numbers, I think there's a lot of potential for that to capture a huge audience. I mean, you get like, not only do you get a giant robot movie, but you get like an epic war drama as well, assuming that they're going to be like, because most Gundam series, at least the one that I watched, Gundam Wing, was a war drama more than anything else. Mm-hmm. And from what I understand about the original Gundam series, which I will eventually watch, because Gundam's a series I need to start getting into because it is I do love the aesthetic of Gundam, but I've never like actually watched anything besides Gundam Wing. But the first Gundam series was also a war drama as well. It was just, so they're just war dramas with sci-fi giant suits, and it's usually around like you know, people who, it's kind of similar to Firefly. You get like these people that want to colonize the systems, the many different planets, but then you have like the big government being like, well, we can't have these people living without our rules, so we need to, you know, conquer these worlds in the name of truth and justice, of course. You know, so that, and then of colonies being like, we don't want to be ruled, piss off. And yeah, you get a good war drama from that kind of a thing. So I think that will be what makes it stand apart from Transformers. I think with Voltron, it's going to be more tricky because aesthetically, I think people are going to look at it and go, oh, this is basically just Transformers and Power Rangers. You know, but it's hard to say though. That's just from what I'm predicting.
Yeah, no, I think you're spot on in regards to just the idea of Gundam Wing being very much, you know, a war drama. If you can really find a great creative team, I think storyline wise, that can really lean into that. it could definitely separate itself and kind of be a surprise. But yeah, it's kind of like the wild card right now. So we'll see.
Yeah.
And then last but not least, Marcus Shriver. Last question. I want to leave this one for last because we love talking Star Wars around here. But what do you think of the Star Wars franchise as of late? Do you agree or disagree that Disney has been doing a great job taking care of it and releasing content? Or do you think it needs a major creative shakeup or a soft reboot?
I don't know if I would say a shakeup or a soft reboot. I think that I really liked Maul Shadow Lords. That was a cool series. I still don't think Mandalorian and Grogu was necessary, even though I had a good time with it. But I would say that the big thing is I want them to start mapping things out and actually committing. Because it just seemed with Kathleen Kennedy, so many things kept getting announced and then dropped, and then you would have something like Acolyte, which had a season where they just couldn't find their footing, and rather than just trying to give it another chance and just kind of waiting for, or maybe even doing a little overhaul in the show, there's just now let's just get rid of it. I want them to commit to their ideas a bit more. I think that's the main thing they need to focus on now that we got Dave Filoni in charge. The other thing too, and I brought this up before, my one concern with Dave Filoni, I love the dude, right? Awesome. What he did with the Clone Wars. He was an incredible showrunner. I just hope he doesn't get too comfortable only writing in his, comfort timeline / comfort characters. Basically, I want to see the Star Wars movies move away from Ahsoka and the Clone Wars stuff. As much as I love them and I'm still cool with them existing, I just hope that's not where the future of Star Wars is only focused on. I still hope we get our Knights of the Old Republic at some point. I hope we get more post-sequel trilogy. And I would even love to see some more, to see if they want to go back to that Dawn of the Jedi movie idea, which I hear wasn't completely scrapped, but kind of got scrapped. But I would love to see a Jedi origin movie.
Yeah, I think Kathleen Kennedy on her exit interview did talk about that. They have a script for the James Mangold Dawn of the Jedi ready to go. It's just whether or not it would be greenlit or not. I don't know how much more work has to be done on it, but she gave it under the impression that the Dawn of the Jedi script is okay, we're ready. But we'll see. Again, it's the idea of wanting to take that creative risk, right? I mean, you talked about the idea that if there's anything you want to applaud Kathleen Kennedy for, it is the idea of her taking big swings. She may not have connected or created home runs off of everything, maybe a single, maybe a double here or there, but she took swings and big swings in regards to some of this content that they produced. Do you agree or disagree that Disney has been doing a great job taking care of it and releasing content? I don't know if I would say it's been doing a bad job or a great job, but I'd say a decent job. I mean, I'm looking at some of the content right now under Disney, right? Outside of the trilogy, The Mandalorian and The Mandalorian, great show. Despite the fact that some people felt this third season was weak, as a whole, it's still pretty great. Book of Boba Fett flopped for me. I'm not a fan of that. Ahsoka, I feel like in that case, stronger writing would have really helped a ton. Andor, probably the best thing that Star Wars has ever done under Disney. I was also a really big fan of Skeleton Crew. That was really fun time. The Acolyte, you know how we feel about it around here. I think I'm probably more adamant about the idea that there are certainly aspects of the Acolyte that I really enjoyed and wanted to see explored a lot more, but really underwhelming in regards to what was promised to us and what was kind of delivered, but always felt like we could improve upon it, despite maybe us not necessarily being the biggest fans of the Acolyte. So I would say some hits, some misses when it comes to live action. But then I go over to the animated side. Clone Wars, great stuff. Rebels, incredible stuff. Tales of the Jedi and Tales of the Empire. I still they may not be as great as each iteration, but there is definitely some stories in there that I appreciate the format of it and what they're trying to do. And anytime they tell me, hey, a new Tales is dropping, I'm probably going to watch it. I'm probably going to watch it. So maybe not the strongest, but still enjoyable. Maul Shadow Lord, fantastic. Star Wars Visions, fantastic. I don't really watch Young Jedi Adventures, but it's been getting a lot of praise. I didn't really watch The Bad Batch, but I feel like people that did watch The Bad Batch were big fans of it also.
You haven't seen The Bad Batch?
No, I haven't. Because I think what turned me off was the fact that it's just like, we've been in this time period before. Like I'm tired of this time period, like I'm ready to move past and do other things. So no, I have not watched The Bad Batch, and that's another part of me that was kind of tired of the Clone Wars animation too. So I'm tired of animation, tired of the time period. I just didn't want to give it a shot, to be honest with you. So looking at the grand scheme of things, the animation side continues to ball for Star Wars. If you ask me, it's really the live action stuff that can be relatively hit or miss. I'm big fans of 2 out of the 3 of the trilogy. The Mandalorian and Grogu movie was just fine to me with the levels of enjoyment that I had seeing it on the big screen. So I wouldn't say they're doing great, but I think they're doing decently well, to where I don't necessarily know they need a soft reboot. Maybe a creative shakeup in the sense of like, I think the verdict is still out in regards to what Dave Filoni is certainly going to do. But I think from a live action standpoint, if they can really land the creators to the movies that they want to create, and like you said, Stuart, have a fleshed out plan and the direction in which they kind of want to go, which what it seems like Dave Filoni has in mind. It seems like Dave Filoni, from some of the recent interviews, has in mind in the sense of, I don't want to say fully like what Kevin Feige has done with the MCU, but clearly having a storyline or arc and points to get to build up to something that he kind of wants to focus on. And I kind of dig that idea. Just commit to it and tell the best story that you can. And so if we can do that, then I think we'll find. So again, I don't agree or disagree that it's been great or bad. I think it's been decent with some really big swings that have worked out, and just not all the time. So yeah, definitely need some improvement, but not too bad. Feta says Ahsoka season 2 is going to have more Clone Wars flashbacks in live action form. I'll eat that shit up in a heartbeat. I would absolutely love to see it. Talking about the Acolyte, it should have gotten a season 2, Plagueis and maybe young Palpatine at the end of season 2, but nah. Yeah, I would love to see those things kind of explored on the big screen. But there's just so many like time periods that still need to be explored for Star Wars. I would love to see them dive back into more High Republic stuff, whether that be live action or animation. Give me this, Knights of the Old Republic. Are we going to be going to the Old Republic era? Would be nice. We got literally like 20 years between Return of the Jedi and the First Order that we still need to explore. And then we could even go even further past Rise of Skywalker, which apparently that's what they're going to be going with when it comes to Star Wars Starfighter, along with the Simon Kinberg-led trilogy that they're currently working on. So if we can stay within those new eras and stuff and get some really great creative teams behind it, I'm here for it, man. I'm really here for it.
Mm-hmm.
But thank you guys for everybody who participated in the live viewer question portion of the show. I'm just going to restart this just to make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay, cool. We got everything here. So thank you, everybody that's certainly participated in here today with some of your live viewer questions, comments, along with sending in your live viewer questions as well. So yeah, man, that's going to do it and wrap it up for today's show. Couple channel updates real quick as we wrap up. I have dropped episodes 1 through 6 of our Spider Noir reviews for you guys. It is currently up on the channel. I'm going to try and knock out 7 and 8 sometime this weekend for you guys, so I can have the penultimate episode and the finale review for you guys together. So look out for my wrap up of Spider Noir, and then I think I'm actually going to rewatch it again, Stuart, in color, because my girlfriend's like, I gotta watch this in color, babe. I can't do the black and white thing. So we're going to rewatch it together in color, and then I might just do an overall series review as well. Maybe I'll get you on board for the overall series review if you don't mind.
Yeah, I'd definitely be down to talk about it.
We have a live episode of Let's Talk Movies for you guys tomorrow, I believe at 8 p.m. Central Time tomorrow.
Yeah, 8 p.m. It's perfect.
All right, let me know how the movie times and stuff are going for you. If you can knock them out and send your scores over before we go live. If we need to push it to 8:30, that's fine, but we'll set it up for 8 p.m. tomorrow. We're going to be talking about what movies? Disclosure Day, along with The Furious. So if you want to go ahead and follow along with us tomorrow, check out those two movies before Monday night. And then, yeah, if there's any other content out there, brand new trailers, brand new massive news that we need to certainly talk about. We may drop individual videos for you guys throughout the week. We'll definitely post some clips from today's show as part of our shorts on the YouTube channel as well. And then, yeah, so if we'll drop that throughout the week. And then, of course, we'll see you guys back here next Sunday live at 12 noon Central Time for another live episode of A+ Hero Report. Stuart, if people want to find you on social media, though, man, where can they find you, sir?
You guys can find me at TurboSue01 over on Letterboxd and Instagram.
And then if you want to follow us everywhere, first and foremost, our YouTube channel right here, click that subscribe button, especially if you're a new viewer. We'd love to have you back each and every week. Click on the subscribe button, the bell notification too, so that when we do drop brand new videos, you'll certainly be notified. You can always feel free to share these videos, clip these videos, let people know about A+ Hero Report. It definitely helps. If you want to check us out over on TikTok, we've got a TikTok page for you guys right over there at Hero Report. We drop a lot of new comic book haul videos every Wednesday or Thursday. We also drop a lot of movie trailers for you guys. Sometimes I also will do my own report card review in regards to brand new movies. Check that out over there as well. And then if there's anywhere else on social media, I would recommend check us out at A+ Opinions over on our Facebook page. Our Facebook page, we update on the daily basis for you guys. We post brand new news and information about movie updates. We drop posters, new trailers, any first look exclusives, featurettes, behind the scenes stuff. We keep you up to date all day long on our Facebook page, and then we take 6 topics out of that at the end of the week, and we talk about them right here at A+ Hero Report on our YouTube channel. But other than that, guys, that will do it for us here. We appreciate all the new faces. Pexy says, I got my questions ready for next week.
Nice.
So yeah, guys, we'll look forward to seeing you guys next week. But until then, do us a big favor, as always, guys. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep it A+. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye.